And we are live, WrestlePurists Podcast 121, hosted by myself and Joe Hulbert and whoever ends up joining us throughout the night. Our Sunday night show and today's show, like a lot of Sunday shows, a lot more laid back, generally just talking about the past week in wrestling. It's been a busy week coming out of WrestleMania and basically whatever you guys want to talk about in the live chat, so keep it busy down there. First things first, please like, subscribe, send any super chats if you have any questions, any takes, any opinions, predictions, anything like that. We'll get them read out, talk about them a bit. And turn on our post notifications. Hope everyone's doing good. Some of my fellow co-hosts for the evening, Joe Hulbert, repping Late Night Grin. What is going on?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I didn't realize until I entered the StreamYard I had like the full LNG outfit, like I was John Terry in 08 or whatever. 08, is that right, Money? You would know. 08?
No, we won the Champions League in 2012.
Jeez, I'm getting old.
Got people United in 08 or not? 08? Whenever.
It bleeds together, doesn't it, when you get to this age? Anyway, I'm glad to be here, folks. I was genuinely disappointed to miss Thursday because it was a hell of a house. It was a hell of a house. I saw the view count and I said, God damn, brother, I missed out on some business. So get me in on Sunday.
The run time as well, though.
I saw that part I wasn't as envious of, yeah. But because I'm missing a couple Thursdays, I was like, get me in on Sunday. We'll do some business. Drop down tackle, you know the deal. So I'm happy to be here.
So many people just had their takes coming out of Wednesday with the footage.
Just sent the takes, right?
Yeah, so it was just kind of like so many people had things to say about him. It was like, all right, we're doing like a whole segment on the footage. So whenever people were getting the takes in, it was like, okay, we'll give this a bit of time to talk about this take and then all the different angles of it because people will bring another thing up that no one spoke about. And it's just, we ended up talking about a 1 minute piece of footage for about an hour. It was embarrassing, but we did it.
It's wrestling, dude. I mean, at this point, it is what it is, right? It's hard to ignore the reality. That's what people want to talk about. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's been a busy week, though, like I said, coming out of WrestleMania week. Of course, the Raw after Mania and kind of the usual traditions, But, of course, the footage that we just mentioned and kind of, there's been like a lot of like contract news this week. There's kind of like flew under the radar because it's been such a crazy week. I won't say flew under the radar, people are aware, but it hasn't been at the forefront at all, So there's been a few things, Ross is announcing his new promotion, I think tomorrow on Wrestle Universe. So Solo Sikoa is trying to take over the Bloodline. Kenny Omega spoke on Brawl Out. Obviously Cody Rhodes first week as champion. What else we got? Sheamus is back tomorrow. Of course, I've already mentioned all the contract news. New Japan last night? No, Friday. Wasn't it? Yeah, Windy City Riot was Friday. Mox making history. Jack Perry having a hell of a time out in Chicago. A lot to talk about, Joe. Where do you want to start? We don't have to talk about everything. This is Sundays. We're just kind of chilling, but there's a lot of things we could potentially talk about. So where do you want to start?
I think Windy City Riot would be a good place because it was a wrestling show I watched in full, which nowadays is, like a collector's item. So it makes sense. It was a really fun show. The house was impressive.
Good house.
Good crowd.
Yeah.
Good crowd.
It was over 6,200 people, I think, which is an improvement from last year.
Yeah, and look, the card, deserved that, right? It was a good card, but it still was, kind of refreshing to see them actually draw a house befitting it. The main event, I say this with all love and respect to Tetsuya Naito, who has had a great wrestling career.
Yeah.
But I cannot remember the last time I've liked a wrestling match so much for one half of it. I honestly can't. I mean, if I listed to you the things I liked about that match, I would probably get 7 or 8 deep before I mention Naito. And again, I know that sounds like I'm being a dick, but with love, he's beat up, man. He's really beat up, And I say all that in a roundabout way to compliment John Moxley, who I think that is probably his best performance in. I think it's been a long time since he's been that engaging, man. He was so locked in. Everything he did felt like it was aware this is a moment of history. I'm going to make this matter, I just thought he was so good on Friday. And the reason I bring it up to kind of lead with is it confirms stuff we've talked about a lot, right? Which is he needs something to actually sink his teeth into.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him going 10 minutes of action
floating around, doing a bunch of tags. And
when you give that dude like something worthwhile, a real main event thing that he can get himself like excited about, he's one of the most compelling wrestlers in the world still. And then you can forget that when you're watching him just kind of hanging out in six mans or whatever, you know. So he was incredible on Friday, dude. My goodness.
Yeah, he was. Well, you already said it. He was locked in, you know. And Naito, God bless him. I love Naito. You know, like you said already, Joe, hell of a career. But yeah, he's slowing down. He can still do it on like the big stages. We've seen it. You know, obviously you can. I think the most obvious examples we can go to is kind of his back-to-back matches in the G1 last year. You know, and obviously there's been performances since then as well. And but they are becoming more and more far and few between. You know, it's he isn't firing on all cylinders anymore, which is natural. You know, he's had a lot of injuries and stuff. He's had that weird eye thing as well. Like, you know, but, you know, it was still cool to see him win the world title at Wrestle Kingdom. And, you know, I mean, like, that's been a lot of people kind of wanted him to have a longer reign because he hasn't really had like a full, you know, full fleshed out reign with the belt. But then you get the other side that kind of argues that he's always been better as a chaser. But, you know, this is probably, I doubt he's going to get many more chances to chase and win the belt at the age that he is. And kind of they're going into this new era now with like Shota and Yota. And, you know,
I saw some takes about that, like folks fantasy booking Naito getting it back. And it just feels like a bit of a waste to me. Like, it feels like you use Mox to make someone, I don't know. It's one of those things where like, people that watch New Japan more closely, their opinion matters more than mine, right? Like, I drop in for big shows, so who gives a fuck what I think? But, like, to my viewpoint, having him just go back to Naito would be like, okay, you know, like, you could actually do something with this. Like, especially with Shota, the story is, like, right in front of you. You've already taken the step. So, to me, it's like you go with Shota and then you can circle around from there, and then you start really establishing the new guys, you know? Suji's got to get it at some point, right?
Yeah, definitely.
They're in an interesting place. Like, I think they're going to have some rocky times, but it was cool to see them have like a kind of, you know, day in the sun on Friday and actually have a good show that people liked. And they still tried to fuck it up with Ren Narita, but for the most part, it was a positive.
They definitely tried with Ren Narita because he's a hell of a choice, you know. Because it's like you said, they kind of had a moment this weekend where it was just like a big moment where you could potentially, some of those fans that got a bit like disenchanted with the promotion, especially over in the US, UK, Western side and stuff. It's you know, it's definitely like a point people could jump back in. But when you know you're jumping back into Ren Narita at Resurgence, it's like, oof.
It was a choice, as you said. I mean, especially because Moxley's post-match promo was so good. And it really did feel like something that was historic. And you know, you bring Shota into that and it makes sense. And then you go to Ren and it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I don't watch like every match Ren has. Every time I see him, it doesn't certainly not feel like I'm watching a top guy. You know, like he's a long way away right now in terms of presentation and work. Like, he's just not there right now.
Yeah. Long way away is probably a polite way of putting it, you know.
Yeah, he may never get there. All right, let's be real.
Yeah. May is still polite. Anyway.
He's young, is what it is.
Speaking of polite, the only good Brit in wrestling, Charlie, has joined
that's quite the intro.
It's true.
It's true. Charlie, what's going on? How has your weekend been?
I'm good. Had a nice little meal with family today. Just been chilling. How are you guys doing?
Tremendous. Talking wrestling.
Traumatized by Ren Narita, you know.
Bro, his performance was not good.
Yeah, the Suzuki match was an interesting way to start that show. It was
well, you got the shit out of the way early, so can't blame him for that.
I was watching Minoru Suzuki versus AJ Styles from 2014. It's very easy to forget because he's always been like a minimalist. It's easy to forget that he's, you know, there's still been a lot of different parts of his game that have just slowly erased. And he's 50 whatever years old. I don't, you know, God bless Minoru Suzuki. He can stand there and do forearms all night for all I care. Good for him. But you can kind of not realize, right? You watch him so often. And then you look back 10 years and you go, oh, it was a little bit different back then. Of course it was. It makes sense, right? It is what it is. He's getting up there, man.
Indeed.
Yeah, Ren Narita, it's a tough one, Charlie. It's a tough one. The Musketeer boys. I don't think he's just not. You know what it is with Narita? He was when he first kind of like came on the scene properly. You know, like when it became clear that he was like one of the young lions that was gonna like kind of get something. You know, and he was doing like Shibata cosplay, and he's even like down to his strikes and stuff. It just felt like maybe I'm just going crazy, but it felt like he's like lost snap and stuff over the years. You know, like his strikes have become a lot more like loose, and he kind of whiffs them a bit more now.
His performance in the G1 last year, you could actively see that he'd like regressed in the style. I don't think that doing the Shibata cosplay suits him anymore. He should change it up.
He's
And I watched all the G1s, so.
Did.
Yes,
you did.
Yes, you did.
It was a fun project. It was a fun project.
It was. It's one of those things that sometimes you do as a wrestling fan where you make a decision. You're going to watch something in full, and you do it, and you get about 3 matches in. And you're like, oh, no.
It's been a while since I had one of those ideas and actually went through with it. I've got to be honest, I'm a few years sober. You have to run away from it at some point, but I respect it. At least you created something worthwhile with it, right? When you came out with the feature, and that was like, at least that's better than just wasting hours of your life watching bad wrestling.
True. Maybe I'll do it again this year. Who knows?
No, you should not do it again this year.
Yeah, the G1 lineups now, especially with the bigger bracket, it's like, you know.
If it's anything like
really
the Best of the Super Junior this year,
do you really want to watch 8 Chase Owens matches? You know, do you want to do that, Charlie?
They've got to shorten the bracket. They've got to make it less people this year.
Looking at the tour dates, I don't think they are. I think it's going to be another 4 group bracket. There you go.
Ospreay isn't my favorite wrestler or anything, but imagine the last year's G1 without him. It's like that's what you're looking at, you know. Like he was one of the few guys you could bank on. Like he will give you something worth watching. So yeah, I don't know.
Now we're getting Riddle.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the way that he left that match on Friday.
Dave's saying that he's staying.
Dave says a lot of stuff about Riddle, though, doesn't he? He says a lot of stuff
well, we all know he's his biggest fan, but like he's saying,
yeah.
He said something along the lines like because of obviously what Charlie just alluded to, like when he dropped the belt, the TV title to Zach on Windy City Riot, he kind of just got up and left the ring and spudding up all the fans and shit. You know, like
it was very
Austin Aries-esque. It was. Not quite that absurd,
right,
but you know, in the spirit of Austin Aries. So yeah, a lot of people were like, oh well, he's out there, you know, but Dave's saying like, nah, he's still got some dates to do and shit. So
wouldn't surprise me. Like either way, wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, man, it's a good match, you know.
Yeah, it was.
I used it as an intermission. I was on the air and I used it as a chance.
That's also very. That's very fair.
I had to rev myself up for Nick Nemeth, bro. I was doing squats, getting ready.
But yeah, mentioned Narita and Suzuki. Nothing spectacular going on there. I'll tell you what though, 10 minutes. New Japan Strong Women's title match. Stephanie Vakir versus Azumi. I like this. I saw a lot of people liking this as well. Hell of a way to spend 10 minutes, Charlotte.
Hell yeah. I think it was a really great match. Stephanie Vakir is something special, and I hope that she gets more exposure this year. But sometimes women's matches on these New Japan cards kind of die because it's not what the crowd was there for, like traditionally. So the fact that the crowd was with them the entire time, they were super into it, made me really happy. Azumi being 21 and having performances like she's had over the past like 10 days is insane. So yeah, this is a really good bit of business.
This is very good. They're both very good, aren't they, Joe?
They are. Azumi had a hell of a weekend, and she's like a 10-year pro, 21 years old. So.
Crazy.
Yeah, no, that match was really rich. Every time I see Stephanie, she like jumps off the page. And like, I don't watch her as closely as I see her on those shows mostly. She's always so impressive, man.
Yeah, it feels.
Are you making the trip to York Hall to see her at Fantastica Mania next month?
Going to be a while until they get me back to your call. You know, those.
The CMLL show, bro. They've got some cool talent booked for that. I'm
It
gonna
says that, but they'll book Nick Nemeth and
I'll go
he'll be
with
there,
Nick
mate.
bro. The second they book Nick Nemeth.
I'm there. Yeah, that goes. Like I should be clear because I come across like a dick when I talk about Brit wrestler. Rev Pro is a good wrestling promotion, and they do good shows. It's just the Rev Pro like house style. I can't watch too much of it. That's the actual thing. And like, let me be clear: if the boys in the ring wrestle to appease me, people will be sitting on their hands the whole show. Like, they're doing the right thing. They're getting over in the building. That's what you should do. But I can only watch guys, trade forearms so many matches ago. At some point, for me, it's like I hit the wall. But
they're pretty long shows as well, aren't they?
They are, yeah, they are. Everyone goes long, and that's part of indie wrestling, right? I mean, that's just it's part of the game.
Can't be a Rev Pro epic.
Yeah, and every match is like it's the opening match.
They're all Rev Pro.
Yeah, trading pole drivers, and it's a lot for me, but it's good wrestlers there though for sure.
Yeah. Some good wrestlers have been coming through there, even in recent years when Brit wrestlers pretty much dead. Rev Pro, like the cockroach. Just like the surviving. Still being able to put on like respectable shows when like all in weekend and stuff like that, so fair play to him, man. Fair play to him. Leon Slater, obviously, he's bursting onto the scene as we speak. Will Ospreay, of course, always been a huge advocate. So yeah, man. Shout out Rev Pro, but it's going to be a minute, and they need to put Nick Nemeth before they get Hulbert back in your call,
Something like that, yeah.
You mentioned Stephanie jumps off the page. She's really good, man. She's really good. She's actually she's got charisma. She's kind of really well put together. I'm not sure how long she's been a pro for, but it feels like she knows what she's doing. It feels like as well, kind of. You don't want to say that everyone should just get signed by one of the big two, but she, like you said, she really does jump off the page and could be someone that could really become quite the star in the US, sort of thing. So
I think so.
We'll
She's
see where it goes.
There's a sense of like polish and understanding of presentation there that at this point in the game is honestly more exciting if you're looking from a TV perspective, right? Because it's like it's not that her offense is great and all the work's there, but she actually feels like someone you could plug into either show. And you'd be like, yeah, she makes it better. So I agree.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that, but I don't think it will be before too long. It wouldn't surprise me, even by the end of this year. Obviously, I'm not. Who knows what a contract or if she's got a contract or what's going on there.
I did not know she's in her 30s.
Well, there you
She's
go.
been wrestling for 15 years. That's crazy.
That shows, though, right? Like in a positive way, she has polish, she has poise. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I didn't know that either. It's interesting.
Yeah, man. Big fan, and same with Azumi as well. But obviously a lot younger, but still kind of has a polish to her. But then you find out she's been wrestling since she was like 11.
She's tremendous, though. She's just so exciting to watch. So exciting. She like broke Tony out of the timeless stick. That match was really good.
Yeah.
Woke her up,
Yeah, she's awesome, dude.
But yeah, speaking of I don't even know how I was going to segue to that, but anyway, Shota Umino versus Jack Perry in Chicago after quite a week, and this was a good match, man. Very much a big thing everyone will be talking about. It will be the atmosphere, of course. Jack Perry getting that huge, reception, kind of all kinds of weird chants going on, back and forth, crowds battling with each other. He had the Chicago flag. He had the leather jacket that said Crimea River. He was hamming it up as he should be. You know what I'm saying? Like, for him not to do that would have been like the worst case scenario. So like when the footage airs on Dynamite, that doesn't go over very well. No, I haven't seen like one critical reviewer with a platform say that was a good idea. Not one. Not a single, not even like an outlier who's trolleying, like not one. But anyway, so like you get that reaction from initially showing the footage, and if you don't at least get like Jack Perry like going to, I'll say viral loosely because it's wrestling and nothing really goes truly viral except for like The Undertaker, Rock,
right, we've been
John
our bubble,
Cena, all at WrestleMania. So, blow up on wrestling side of Twitter and stuff like that, and become the talk of the town. We're talking about it now, and big night for him, Charlie. Big night for Jack Perry.
Yes, it was. You mentioned the atmosphere. Dude, I was a little bit worried at one point they were going to lose the match to the crowd reactions, but they really pulled him back into actually like being there for the wrestling and not just like the character he was playing, which I thought was quite impressive considering how young these guys actually are, like in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, I really enjoyed the match. Obviously, the crowd added to it, but the work was good, man, as well. Like they've both added like more to their fundamentals, and you could really see that here. Like I don't know, it was just I was impressed by both of them. They both had interesting years last year. Obviously, Shoto had that really great match with Ospreay, but I feel like this was a good standout for them both this year. And like, maybe we should be paying more attention to these young guys. Like, they really stood out on the card to me. I think it was one of the better matches of the night.
A very, very memorable. You could call it a spectacle, Joe Holbrook.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I was really happy for Jack. I was pretty worried coming out of Wednesday that this was going to become like an albatross for him, you know, and like this thing that he's kind of defined by, which would be so fucking lame considering how young he is and the promise he showed before it. His track record was very impressive in the ring before any of this shit, you know, and I think he did the only thing you could do in that situation, which is he embraced that reaction and made some fans with it, you know, in terms of kind of just going out there and having fun with it. So he did a hell of a job. They had a really good match. Physically, Jack is like super capable and always been that way. He can go. I didn't see nearly this much promise in him as a heel in 2 months on AEW as I did here. You know, so that shows you like this can help him. Obviously, he has to use this as a vehicle to grow beyond it. But that's stuff to worry about in 6 months. Like this was night one. He nailed it on night one. So I was really happy for him. He's a talented dude. Hopefully he can kind of make this a positive for him because, you know, at this point, I don't know what other positives we're going to get from it. It's been 8 months, right? He's the best. He's like, hopefully he can come out, you know, positive from it. So I was happy for him. And I think this could be hopefully something we look back at and circle as like a defining thing for him, you know, that kind of gave him some momentum to go on a new run here in 2024. We'll see. But I was really thrilled for him.
Yeah, hopefully he's better because, you know, when he was in AEW before, as you said, his track record speaks for itself, as Joe said, in ring. You know, in ring he has got a good resume in AEW, you know, but the character stuff when he first turned heel, you know, and then obviously that was, I've already said it a few on podcasts before, I thought that was really tough, you know, I thought it was really tough TV, a lot of that was, but even down to the in-ring, because he was such kind of like a natural babyface in ring, and he was really good at it. He was kind of like, one of the things that I liked about Jack Perry is that he was such a good babyface worker, you know? Yeah. So it's like you strip that away from him and then you put a character on him that seems so inauthentic, you know, just so fake and just like whatever, you know? And, you know, obviously what happened with Punk and the suspension and stuff. And, you know, then he was just gone off the scene for so long and now he's back in New Japan and this footage, I guess, you know, has given him kind of, it's put him at like the forefront of the discourse and the topics of conversations and shit. Then, they just so happened to have a Chicago show that he'll be wrestling on that same week. So this was a big, big, big moment for him. And who knows if he'll get other moments like that coming out of this, because it'll never be as fresh as it was this past weekend. And it might just be a Chicago thing as well. I think that's absolutely a factor. So, all that said, though, this has given kind of a window of opportunity, especially if he is joining back up with this new EVP Young Bucks thing that they're doing. And it's a second chance, you know, slightly changed the type of heel he was, because the type he was before wasn't good. He just wasn't.
He didn't seem to know either, right? He was like trying to blend things together as a heel. That was the main issue. It didn't make sense, the character he was going for. Hopefully the creative backs him up, and in 2 months we're talking about like him being in great form rather than it just being like that time in Chicago, right? That's what I don't want it to be, because it's like he's more talented than that.
Yeah, he still has a ways to go, especially the character side of things. But you know, he definitely fell off. You know, kind of. I don't know how else I'd put it. You know, so like I said, this is kind of like a second lease of life, lease on life in the AEW at least, Yeah, I'm gonna go to a couple super chats before we keep it moving. Darren K, $85, appreciate it. Solex Sokoa is #not my tribal chief, was the worst member of the OG Bloodline, and now is the worst member of Bloodline Wolfpack. Jacob about to embarrass him. Bloodline going through changes.
A little bit dismissive of the big man, really. I mean, have you seen his thumb?
Man. He smiled on Friday as well, so we're adding layers to the character, Joe.
Well, he's adding layers, bro. That's what we do in cinema, We make movies,
All right, $4.99 from. This is the actual name. This sword is the proof that I have lived. They say, you're building a promotion and you can only have one ace. Who you picking, Cody Rhodes or Jon Moxley?
Jon Moxley.
It's a fun one. I much prefer Moxley as a promo. I still struggle with Cody's like, I am the greatest person on earth thing. It kind of drives me nuts. However, if we were if this was 2020 Mox, I'd be at this point in the game. I'm taking Cody. Moxley too often will frustrate me by throwing forearms with dipshits, so I'll take Cody.
Yeah, it's like if I was building a promotion that was just kind of for my enjoyment to watch and then review the next day, and I'd probably pick Mox as much as I love Cody and probably do prefer Cody in 2024 as kind of the guy of the industry that he's became. Obviously, the novelty of that is kind of still very fresh, and I'm very much enjoying that. But then Mox wins the IWGP World Heavyweight title this past week, and I'm like,
Mox is the man. I'm a bigger fan of Mox. I just think Cody's success has been crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's my thing. It's
someone at the top of your promotion, though. Moxie's such more of a diverse character. He can do the ace of the world face stuff, and he can be your top heel. So, thinking it from that perspective, Cody can't do that. Even when he does work heel, it's never believable to me, anyways. I never believed Cody as a heel, and his babyface shtick is not the sort of thing I'd want to build a promotion around. So,
I think if I actually was booking either of these gentlemen, I think Moxley would be. I think you could do a lot of interesting stuff with Moxley. I'm finding it hard to pick because I think, unfortunately, Moxley hasn't done a lot of interesting stuff for a while. That isn't his fault necessarily, So it's a difficult one.
My thing is, I'll get to back up Hangman join us once I just got to finish this one. So Mox is awesome. Everything, and like I said, if I was building it just for a promotion that us at WrestlePurists Worldwide plus Charlie are just going to kind of pop and watch, and Mox probably would fit in that promotion more. But if I was actually building a promotion, probably getting a bit too literal here. I want the Benjamins, brother. I want the Cody's just money. Yeah, I'll create a cartoon like Cody Rhodes and the Avengers, and I'd be shameless, bro. I'd be shameless if I was a real promoter. So anyway, back up Hangman. Either of WrestlePurists has now joined us. How you doing, brother?
Pretty cooked. Yeah,
Why?
I don't know. I haven't properly rested since Mania week, and work kicked the shit out of me, and a lot of stuff. But I'm gonna try to start taking some of these days to catch back up with my life and do some things around the house. I fixed my steps, in the front of my house.
Worldwide people will remember that law.
Oh, the broken steps. Yeah. So I got a guy to look at them, and I was like, "What do you? How much for this?" And he was like, "Oh, papi, $900." I was like, "Yeah, go fuck yourself." And so went to Home Depot, bought some cement, some contact cement. Took care of the whole thing for $85, man. That's pretty good too. So pat on my back.
This is definitely not going to age badly tomorrow.
Could you imagine? I take a step on the step,
breaks his ankle.
Because you're always walking around doing the pod, so we're going to hear you yell at some point. These fucking steps.
Listen, Pena almost tore my ACL. My dog just chop blocked me with her head. So that's not fun.
He's
I gotta
so
do my I gotta do my taxes, So a lot of stuff, but I wanted to pass by because, why not, right? But I'm yeah, absolutely. I'll be here for a little bit. I'm happy to be here. And my only thing on this Cody John Moxley thing is, I feel like Mox is better the less you see of him, in the sense that, like, I got really tired of him last year, right? But like when I saw him in the CMLL tag, and he was phenomenal, right? And he single-handedly willed the Naito match into being great. And I think there's something to be said about, like, John as this force of nature you just see walking into these places and just being John Moxley, and you're like, oh man, that's awesome. And you get him like maybe 1 to 2 times a month. That's probably just a me thing. But when John became that like weekly show opening 15-minute forearm trading match guy, I kind of he's kind of lost me. I know you know what I'm talking about. He's having like openers with Jay Lethal and shit, and he's like, it's like 15 minutes, and he's doing cutters and things, and it's like, I don't know.
Cutter is crazy. When he stands up after he does it, like victory laps, it pops me every time.
Yeah, some of Moxley's like cutter counters and stuff that he does.
He thinks they're so
I'll text you on the weekend about one. He did one in the night, but none of this will love Mox, man. So
somebody said, talk about Cody and he will get something. This is true. This is true.
Say Cody's name and he will appear. He's a champ now.
Yes, he is. Listen, the video game of wrestling has been beaten. This is all like after credit stuff. This is all post game stuff, really. I got what I needed out of wrestling.
Season finale.
Yeah,
me and Hulbert at Civil War.
I told Rob, I was like, you could like midway through some Raw. I was like, you could do next week's Raw review, and then they announced Sammy versus Chad Gable. I was like, never mind. But
the Raw reviews, have you not noticed if it's building with the consistency?
What do you mean?
It's like with Worldwide. Like some people won't remember this because we're big, rich, and famous now. But like Worldwide, we used to be getting like 800, 900 views. Then after time, you're consistent. You show up every Monday. The fans know what time, who's going to be on the card. You show up with you, brother. And it's starting to happen with Raw now. The Raw reviews as well now.
Yeah, it sucks. It won't let me leave now. Now I'm like stuck to do more things. It's like, what the fuck? Can you guys like not watch the show, please, so I can just like take weeks off?
Listen, brother, here's what you gotta do. You got 8 more months. You gotta get to the end of the year doing that Raw review, and then you can bring in the big bang. Because when that shit's on Netflix, Bert's coming in. He's coming in to talk Raw every week with the gang. Let's talk Jey Uso slaps. Let's do it.
And now you get to review a show where the matches don't have commercials. But dude, now I'm at a point where people are like, are my message requests, and I click. I'm like, what is this? And it's like, before you go to the Raw review, consider this theory. I'm like, oh no, and I'll scroll into the long message, and it's like,
that's cool though, man. I know
it's very cool. It's cute. It's very cute.
Yeah.
I don't need bloodline theories in my DMs, but it's nice.
It's better than most of your message. Yeah, your message is better than those, right? So fuck it, take it.
I mean, it's either that or niggers. So it's like, it's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna fucking do?
More direct way to make that joke, but yeah, sure, I guess so.
He didn't even address it up.
On Friday's show, I said I think Tamatonga's fine, and someone legitimately DM'd me while I was on the air, calling me a fat fuck because I said Tamatonga is fine.
Like, what the hell?
The quote was literally, "Oh, Tama is fine now." Yeah, man, like he's fine. What do you want me to do about it?
Bro, did people forget like 2022? He had a singles babyface run where he had many fine matches.
He's fine. Yeah, he's good look. Yeah.
Some niggas can be
He was
fine.
so over as well, which is like the funniest part of all those.
Now here's the thing, Charlie. If the drones are doing these victory laps and like Hikuleo is walking in and Tonga Low, then it's like, all right, then it's like,
yeah.
But Tama's fine. Like he's gonna be the third man of a fucking heel Polynesian stable. I think people will live.
He's going to come face to face with Finn Balor at some point. People are going to pretend it matters in 2024, and it's going to be incredibly funny.
Charlie, you know he got holy shit chance on Friday?
I did. I watched the clips. I was interested to see if he actually got a reaction or not. I heard the holy shit chance.
It popped YouTube too, I'd like to know. YouTube bot for it.
Oh my bro, fucking Wade Barrett's like, it's Tamatonga, and fucking Corey
I actually
Graves
think Tamatonga has a great style for the WWE match style. I think he's going to feel like a club, to be honest.
He honestly, like, he looks the part. Like, I already saw a bunch of tweets myself, like, who is this guy? You know, everyone's all fired up.
I saw Humble Wrestling
on TV. You know,
I saw Humble Wrestling tweet, "Is this guy any good?" And I was having a ball reading the comments. Like, people were like, "No, he's awful," and people were like, "No, he's a beast."
He was one extreme or the other. Right? It's like, yeah, he's actually the best wrestler in the world.
I coming for Roman's crown, you know.
Someone posted him and was like, "A guy who's not afraid to grind." I was like, "All right."
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
What the fuck?
Anyway,
yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say there was a guy, bro. I don't know what post this was on, but someone was like, WWE fans are pretending to know him, but pretending to not know Ospreay, Okada, and whoever the hell. And someone replied saying, "Yeah, because he's worth knowing." And I was like, all right, man. Y'all got it.
I do respect
There's
it.
no shame, is there? There's no shame. But that's what makes it funny.
He's gonna have a 60-minute match with KO. That's a 3.5. One of these months.
I believe it.
Showtime Spurs, $4. Appreciate you as always. Hey guys, quick question: who's better at selling in work, Bryan Danielson or Bukayo Saka? Saka might be seller of the week. You know,
I didn't say
Don't talk to me about this fucking.
This is a footballer, right?
Yes.
Isn't he black? Isn't he like African?
What gave that away? Bukayo or Saka?
Yo, to be honest, I thought that was a Japanese person at first. I was like, "Who the hell?"
You were scanning the Noah roster.
I was like, let me check my Wrestle Universe. You know,
Arsenal sucks. I'm denouncing my support for the team.
Oh come on, you're in out the race yet.
The Knicks finished as the second seed with all the injuries today, so go Knicks and let's see how we do in the playoffs.
Before 1C199, appreciate it as always. Roman as a face versus Jacob Fatu. My God.
I'm actually pretty into that. I got to be honest.
That's gonna be sick.
I think I confessed this to Joe Hulbert. I'm a Bloodline lore hater, and then like once Roman dropped the belt, all the hate left my body, and now I'm kind of into it. I don't know. I just kind of I look at these little theory posts. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of cool.
Just say Rhodes $4.99, appreciate it. So Wyatt 6. No offense, but I think we're past the need for supernatural gimmicks.
I'm gonna mute.
See how it plays out.
I've seen nothing of it.
Yeah,
I think if it's something, if it does go the way a lot of people suspect, so like just to kind of get it out of the way. Obviously, Bo Dallas has been like kind of all like the White Rabbit-esque teases throughout the WWE shows this past week, where like lights will go off, music will come on, and it'll be like people will record it, it'll go, it'll blow up on Twitter and stuff like that. So they've been kind of like setting the table for what many suspect to be a Bo Dallas return. Of course, there was that little clip at the end of the Bray Wyatt documentary, which was also kind of like a tease as well. And over the weekend, East Coast Pro did a post on Facebook basically announcing that Eric Rowan will not be a booking he was scheduled for next week, in quote, due to contractual obligations. So that usually only means one thing, that he's signed. So, obviously, go on.
I'm buying in because Ibu and I have had like a 2-hour conversation about this today. And we kicked you around some, and the conversation had a highs and lows. Look, this is not going to be for us. We didn't like the Uncle Howdy stuff when Bray was involved, but sincerely, not like I mean this genuinely, bits aside. There is an audience for this, and ultimately, it's a guy who lost his brother, and it's like, I think it's worth letting him try and figure out what it looks like. Do I have a lot of higher hopes for it? Absolutely not. If it's an act that like involves Braun, Alexa, and people like that, then like it will have a little bit more cachet than if it's just Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas. Like I don't know what that looks like as a TV act. I don't know, man. They do like 7 hours of TV a week. Like I don't think it's that deep personally. And even though this is my actual take, because we talked about it at length today, so like I'm being sincere here, but I wish Bo the best.
Since Joe Holbert's being an adult,
Yeah,
I guess I'll be an adult too, and I'll say this. I'll be an adult and I'll say this. They hired Lee Fitting to replace Kevin Dunn, and he's from the sports world, and they've gone out of their way to kind of make Raw and SmackDown, not NXT, but Raw and SmackDown, a more grounded and serious product. And, you know, you're doing these more sit-down, serious interviews with people like Sami Zayn, and the characters on the show are acting more like human beings, and they're saying pro wrestling now on the program instead of sports entertainment. And so I struggle to see where this fits tonally, because this was a Back of Hangman exclusive, folks, back in late 2022. Paul Levesque stripped Bray Wyatt of his complete creative control about a month into his return run, because he felt that his style of whatever he does didn't really work for what he was trying to go for with the TV. And they tried to see if there was a way to meet in the middle, and they ultimately couldn't find that because of Bray's physical issues. So I say all that to say this. They're going to have to figure out what that's going to be, because I don't think, I mean, look, tomorrow on Raw, they're doing Sami Zayn and Chad Gable. Could you imagine that match opening the show for 20 minutes, right? And then you follow that with like a guy doing magic on TV. You know what I mean? And I know wrestling is a variety show, but I think what they're going to have to figure out and navigate is, what is that medium? How do we kind of stay true spiritually to just the memory of Bray and allow his brother to do this? But also let it be a productive thing for the professional wrestling show that they're putting on. I suggested this slightly ironically, but also semi-seriously. I said, why don't you just give him a show on Peacock where they can just do whatever the fuck they want? But if it's going to be on the show, I mean, look, I told this to Joe. I said, why don't you just let Bo Dallas manage Braun and Rowan? You know, you do the pre-tapes and the vignettes, and then you kind of just keep it spooky adjacent rather than like outright magic. You know, but we'll see.
It's also one of the other challenges is how do you? I mean, when you put these pieces together, it looks like a heel act, but it can't really be a heel act because everyone knows it is a tribute to a wrestler they love very much. You know, so it's a complicated thing, and like, you know, we have a lot of fun here about a lot of stuff. I am glad we're having a real conversation about it, because I mean, all of us would like it to go well, right? Like, I got to watch the Bray documentary this past week, and Bo, I mean, it's very apparent Bray was Bo's hero. I mean, it's very apparent when you watch the documentary. So I think it goes without saying that anything they try to do will be done lovingly. And the one thing we can all agree on is good for Eric Rowan if he is involved, because he's had a real tough time of it. And I remember his AEW cameos, him being quite impressive.
Yeah, man.
So he did look good in his AEW.
Yeah, hopefully it goes well. Like, it's, you know, the best version is probably still not saying that I'm going to be like into, but who gives a fuck what I'm in? Like, I wasn't into the Bray stuff. You know, there's an audience that misses that and love that character. Let's see if they can tap into that. Hopefully they can.
There's definitely a chance that it can, you know, really resonate with that audience that are definitely a lot more open to being into kind of like the stuff Bray Wyatt was doing. And there is also absolutely a very good chance that this version of what Bo Dallas is going to do maybe isn't full on Uncle Howdy with the mask and it's supernatural, right, but maybe it's a bit more grounded, closer to like the Wyatt family, you know, especially if you get like Braun and Eric involved again. I think there's definitely multiple different ways that this can work and resonate with those fans that really do miss Bray and what he was bringing to professional wrestling, because it was insanely creatively unique. You know, what he was doing, whether you liked it or whether you didn't, he was a huge star. So it obviously worked for him. It obviously, shame with kind of, you know, when he got released, the kind of the botch job that Vince did with The Fiend. You know, say what you want about The Fiend, but at the start, like when he was just kind of like taking out Jerry Lawler and stuff, like that was, it was insane. Like it was one of the hottest things in wrestling at the time. We could argue the hottest thing. Like I remember like the Firefly Funhouse reveal of The Fiend, because he didn't just reveal The Fiend straight away, and he was just like this thing. Everyone was like, "Whoa!" Like, you know. So yeah, man. Obviously, as Joe already said, whatever they'll do, they'll be doing it lovingly, and I think, with how big of a star and the mark that Bray left on wrestling and the WWE fan base in particular, I do think that there is definitely enough room where you can kind of just fairly give it a good chance to just give it a good chance, man. I think Bo's been signed for a minute as well, so it's like, even if it's just kind of to give him a fair crack of doing something on TV, you know, like obviously it's impossible to ignore the fact, but even like outside of the tragedy of his brother passing, it's like they've signed the guy back, so at least give him the chance, because Bo's not a bad wrestler by any means, you know, so.
Yeah, I agree. And like, you know, Ibby mentioned Braun and Rowan doing stuff. Like I said to him earlier, find someone for Alexa between a team with. Like those, they can give depth to tag divisions that, like, realistically, I mean, there's worse shit in, you know, like it would be fine if you had those people around. It's
Joe Holbert said a nasty thing to me on DMs. I will reveal here. I forgot what I said to him.
Oh no.
About, because I basically said, like, look, you know, you give them a section of the TV to do their thing, I suppose. And Joe said something along the lines of, like, I mean, there's been worse. They put DIY on the show, and I was just like, you are a piece of shit.
I said to him, bro, it'd be nice for an actor on the undercard to get some reaction, you know, like you guys keep going out there silent. At least if they're Braun and Alexa, they might make some sound, you know. I kept trying to unmute my TV. It was fucked up, man. But I'm just messing around. I was just having some levity to our conversation. Because, like, seriously, I bring it all up. Even when I legitimately had, like, a serious, like, a long conversation about this. And
I was losing my mind, to be honest.
Yeah, and that was my way of just, you know, just popping him a little bit. Good luck to Bo. Seriously, good luck to Bo.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, hopefully. But Braun did an update, I think, like a week or two ago, saying, like, he's basically just waiting for that green light any day now to get cleared. So,
really?
I think
man, I've missed Braun Strowman, bro. I like Braun a lot, man. Everyone knows this who's been subscribed long enough and watched enough content with me on it.
That's one of the quicker recent returns from a neck injury in wrestling these days. Like, now these dudes are gone like 2 years. You know, like he's
just like a gradual one, I think, though, wasn't it? Like over the years. So it wasn't. I don't think it was a thing where he was like, you know.
But he still got operated on, you know. He still got one of the.
Yeah, of course.
Honestly, like going back to, if Braun and Rowan are just like a horse team.
Then
that's real TV.
Yeah, you can do anything at ringside at that point. I'm cool with it.
I don't know, New Catch Republic around. It'd be great.
There you go.
I got jumped, Charlie, by the people that despise professional wrestling, because I said Sheamus.
I saw this tweet.
Yeah, I thought that match.
Yeah, and I replied to it. I was just like, "That's something you'd tell me to tune into," and I actually probably would.
Yeah, because Sheamus is coming back tomorrow. Drew doesn't have a clear direction because Phil is injured. Sheamus is probably going to do something with Drew. Don't put them against the New Catch Republic. You know, and people are like, oh no, this is professional wrestling. I don't get it. I want torture on my show.
It's anything, you get the shit kicked out of you, bro.
Fucking I asked AO before. I consulted him before I tweeted last night. I saw the Dynasty card. I was like, oh, this card is sick. And I told him, I said, I'm going to tweet that Tony is a better matchmaker and puts together better pay-per-view cards than Hunter. Will I get jumped? And he was like, yes, nigga. And I was like, and then as he's telling me how I should reword this, I already posted it. I got 50 quotes. Not too bad, you know.
Mustafa, £5, appreciate it. Where does Mox sit in all-time debate? Can do any style. Top guy for 3 promotions. Excellent tag and trios worker while being consistently great.
It's one of the more important wrestlers of his generation.
Yeah. I'm increasingly gun shy on all time because the more wrestling I watch, the more
there's a lot of wrestlers.
I don't actually know. Like, when I first started doing the podcast stuff, like you get into that habit of you just call everyone an all-timer and you kind of go, well, hold on. I mean, if I made a list here, I'd be at like 400 names, you know? So I'm very hesitant on it, but I think Ibu nailed it. Like, his generation, he's one of the most significant, most impressive wrestlers for sure. 100%. And he's great. He's actually great, you know? But I don't know.
100%. Ibu is 100% right in calling to significance to this era. And like you said, Joe, it's like, there's a lot of great wrestlers over the decades, you know, And it's just kind of, if I turn around and say, yeah, John Moxley is a top 100 wrestler of all time, that almost sounds like an insult, you know.
It's
but
not at all.
It's
Yeah,
not
it's
at
not.
all, you know. And I'm not saying that's exactly what I'd place, but I'm just saying as an example. Like, there's been so many, you know, especially like the more you go back in history, especially if you look at other things such as like Lucha, Puro, all these different things. So it's like, you know, he's an all timer. I'm not sure he isn't. I wouldn't say he's in my top 10 or whatever. But
Are we talking?
He's, you know,
is this like over? This is complete package, I assume, right? Or is this in ring only?
complete package? I'd assume.
Yeah, it has to be. That Moxie's argument is stronger in that category, isn't it? Because you had the promo, the personality, and
what he's accomplished in wrestling,
yeah, influence on
for
wrestling
in the industry. You know,
that's he fares better there. If it was just straight up work, he'd be a lot lower for me. In terms of overall and like what they've meant to wrestling, he's definitely one of the stronger candidates from the last 20 years. Definitely.
Yeah, he's very good. That John Moxley fella, he's very good.
Big fan.
He's our world heavyweight champion. And anyway, Kaden Lee of the Performance Center, very much appreciated with the 199. Being barricade at Windy City was special. Yeah, man, you got to see Mox win.
We've reached a point.
Title.
We've reached the point in history, Monty, where steel guardrails are considered things for jabroni indie shows.
You're a boomer.
Yeah, I did a picture of the Rumble walking steel guardrail. I said AEW and WWE should like bring it back. Someone was like, "That's like that rinky-dink indie shit," and I was like, "No, it's a professional wrestling."
Dude, I've got to be honest, and I hate what I'm about to say. The new WWF barricade thingies are like they're pretty close to the sweet spot, I think. And I cannot believe the words just that came out of my mouth. I even had to say WWF to make myself feel a little bit better about what I was doing. It felt nasty. But they look modern, but because it's the black background,
now it's black. Now it's black, yeah.
Yeah, like it isn't like this is fucking the ones before where it was the red and blue, where it was like a toy set, was horrifying.
It would be red and blue, and it's like the Raw and SmackDown logo fucking floating around it like it's like a computer.
I still don't like the Dynamite ones, man. It's too
it's too
much color. It's too much, man.
Collision's
I
better.
don't like the LEDs.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the LED barrier.
We've had this conversation before.
Anyway, this is we don't want to get carried away on this
How'd you have fun, Caden?
Sounds so old.
Yeah, I'm like, he's like, yeah, I was at the news show. I'm like, fuck LEDs.
Jamie Ross, £5, WrestlePurists head honcho round here. Rossi Nation, we are back. The woke mob will never win.
So true, bro. Talk to him.
Yeah, man. Rossi O'Gara, he's got his big announcement tomorrow. He's going to be announcing his, I guess, some announcements regarding his new promotion. Maybe who's going to be involved with it. Maybe even a date of when the first show is, or maybe he's just saying he's definitely doing it, and here's a name. Like, who knows what he's going to do? But it's on Wrestle Universe, which is quite a promising sign, I think, in terms of if you want to be able to watch the shows live. If Wrestle Universe does end up being the home for it long term, that would be very good for us. But
I'm excited, dude.
Yeah, what are we thinking? Any surprises or?
I think Natalya is there with Bret Hart.
You know what's the funny thing about that, Joe? Half of what you said is extremely viable.
Oh yeah, I think Natalya will wrestle on one of the first shows.
Yeah.
Natty, circle Natty and Piper.
She was networking.
Oh, there you go. That'd be cool. As someone who enjoys Joshi but finds it hard to like follow, I am excited about this because it's something you can get on at the start, which I always think is exciting, you know? Because we've Stardom, like whenever I watch the matches, I enjoy them, but I feel like I've missed like 4 seasons of a TV show, and I'm like I find it hard, you know? So like I'm pretty excited for this. I'm gonna try and do like a watch along or some shit for the first show.
You know what would actually be cool in my opinion? EO's dropped the women's championship. And the springtime doesn't matter in WWE. So I think it'd be kind of cool if they let them borrow her for like the first couple shows, to be honest. But
it'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, man. There's a few things. I was talking to Jamie about it like briefly earlier. It's like, you could get Satomura over there, maybe. She's going to be in Japan anyway because
Talk
that's
about
basically
stealing money.
that's where she's based.
Yeah, they should. Yeah.
You might as
they-
well get
they hit her up.
her in for a Rossi date.
They asked her like, "Do you want to move to Orlando?" And she was just kind of like, "No." And they're like, "All right."
Beast.
Like, all right. Do you?
But yeah, man, we'll see what Rossi's got. See what Rossi's got cooking. I'm intrigued. I'm very much intrigued. Brainbuster 499, appreciate it. Started collecting figures again recently. Do y'all have any personal favorite figures of all time? Shout out WrestlePurists. This is a whole but one, I think.
Yeah. There's a Vader that comes with the deal that he used to wear. The big.
Mm-hmm.
What's it called? Like I can see it, I can't describe it. The big deal he used to come out with in Japan.
Yes.
Over the top of his mask. Yeah.
Yes.
It would pump out with it came with that, and you could take the mask off. So because anyone who watched Vader in WCW knows, like after a couple minutes, if he got tired, he'd just fucking wing his mask, just throw it off into the air. So that's one of the coolest figures. I think they're making a new one. I think that's one of the coolest wrestling figures. Also, the Coliseum collection, Terry Funk. It comes with branding iron, the hat, that figure is awesome. So there's a couple that immediately come to mind.
You gotta
make a bunch of cool shit now, dude. They do.
You gotta do a collection video on the Holbert channel.
I should, man. I should. Like I've fallen off recently just because they honestly make too much cool shit. Like you have to stop yourself,
Mm-hmm.
But because like the looks they cover, like for example, they're doing a Monday Night Wars series right now. And they've made a Scott Hall from when he debuted on Nitro. It's just like the all denim. And I'm like, I can't get promo Scott Hall, but also I should get promo Scott Hall. You know what I'm saying? So you have to stop yourself. But they do some really cool shit. The AEW figures are, well,
Personally,
It take like 3 years to come out.
I'm still waiting to get a Daniel Garcia figure. He's worked there for like 3 years almost.
It should have like the articulation in the pelvis to be able to do the dance as the toy,
The craziest thing is the
that
DG they're making.
A string of words.
It was the DG they're making is before he was even dancing. It's they're making pure rules Daniel Garcia.
It's like Red Death Daniel.
It's crazy.
They just came out with the Bucks' All Out 2022 gear, which is
hilarious.
2024.
Yeah.
Yes. Incredible timing.
I don't do dork stuff like collecting wrestling dolls. I do adult, Giga Chad tastemaker things like buying vintage 70s comic books. Yeah, that's the cool stuff I do in my free time.
Real respect.
Adam Legend, $5 appreciate it. Didn't like Jack Perry as a heel. He felt like Shia LaBeouf in iRobot, cussing too much. He has the sauce now as a heel after this footage. Love it. Yeah, man. Hopefully he can apply it really well. Masson 84 199 tells me to cry him a river. Scapegoat is him. Azumi is her. Unpurists have ran this nasty agenda to make everyone think that like I hate and despise Jack Perry when I don't.
I think I saw a tweet that said like Monty is so mad right now.
I was like, what? Bro, I came what was it? I was watching that I finished watching Windy City Riot. Mox has just won the belt and stuff. See the Unpurists account has tweeted like, "Oh, we were so close to being able to force Monty to make Jack Perry the rest of the week." What the fuck? I'm watching the wrestling show. I'm traumatized by Ren Narita coming out at the end of it. Come on Twitter and see that my friends are plotting against me.
It's funny.
The rest of it, I don't even hate. Like, it's just...
Well, the thing is, like, sometimes people think you're going to get worked up about. I mean, obviously the guy has a pop in themselves, but like people sincerely, people that watch the show, like when Gravity would get booked, people would be like, "Oh shit, Monty's about to lose," and it's like, give a fuck.
That's how it is.
This is so true. Yeah. The actual things that make me mad about wrestling shows are like so pedantic and old head pilled. Like it's not like a certain match result or like a match being booked. It's like, why the fuck? did they make the fucking ring post LED now? Like,
Why is he not wearing white wrist tape, right?
yeah, why is Mox wearing black?
I thought he was going to bring up ladder matches then.
That was the conclusion. They made the FTR match a ladder match.
That did upset me. Yeah.
I was very upset about this.
I was mad.
It didn't really bother me.
Tony made
completely honest.
Tony made up for it with Roddy versus Kyle. So
Yes.
There you go.
I just don't like ladder matches, so I was like,
they
great.
So boring now. Like, it's so.
That's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
Will Chisholm,
Or another super chat.
Yeah. He asks, was all the cuts that just happened because TKO hasn't got to talk to talent for their new deals fast enough?
What cuts?
Nah, boys. I mean, Sid Scala, and there was some like there was like talent relations people, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
talent relations has sounded crazy as of late, though, hasn't it? Seriously.
Shawn Michaels is now the number 2, isn't he?
That's terrible.
It sounded. I mentioned it on Friday's Bring Along because it's a quiet enough show that I didn't want to get myself in trouble. But like, there's been so many stories in recent months of talent relations being like unhinged, and guys just kind of sitting there going, "Am I going to get a new deal?" It's fucking weird, dude. I don't know what's happening.
I heard like there was some like clerical errors with people's contracts and like things like that. Like, my goodness, that happened with Matt Hardy with AEW, where like apparently they botched and like they didn't know his deal expired when it did like 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, how do these things happen?
Well, I'm not sure that one was a mistake, but yeah.
I was gonna say,
Can you imagine Finn Balor walking up to like whoever the fucking jack off was in the office, and he's like, "My deal is coming up in a month." And they're like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yes."
This is like Roddy Strong slipping through the cracks, though. Like, he's kind of left the company.
And with all that happening, the guy who's going to fix these problems is the man with one eye. Like, what are we?
He doesn't have one eye.
Oh. Oh, you know, he's just a number 2. You know, he's probably just there for the volume. You know,
spreadsheet. Shawn Michaels.
It's just sounded weird. That's the only thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's you know, with the acquisition, the TKO, the Endeavor, it's obviously it's very different, and contracts and stuff like that are going to be you know, it's interesting. Like, obviously, the Mysterio signed new deals, didn't they?
Yes.
Remember that? Right,
They
the Mysterios signed new deals.
Them Bailey and Charlotte re-signed.
That's what I mean. So there hasn't actually been anyone like this, because like, this is what the Super Chats would suggest, that like talent have been like just pouring out or slowly filtering. Like, that hasn't even happened. So there's been some office ones, talent relations.
Yeah,
Sue H son, he did like community outreach. She was a big part of the WWE Make-A-Wish relationship. She's no longer with the company. She was the longest serving member of WWE up until obviously this past week, and she was with the company since 1986, I believe it was. So
there is a belief.
She's been through it all, brother.
There's a belief within WWE that Becky and Seth won't come back to TV until their deals are 100% hammered back out, though. So,
and it's just as I said, like with kind of the sale, the TKO, all the moving pieces going on there. Obviously, I think the Vince factor's probably, even if it's just a small factor, plays into it because of just kind of how it's rocked the company, you know. So yeah, it's kind of just like it's very much a transitional phase from like a business point of view, you know. Going through a big acquisition like that, it's not something that everything's in order after like a week, you know. It could take like a year for them to fully get stuff figured out for them. But yeah, if you talk to people in WWE, the reactions kind of it varies, you know, because like some talent are kind of like thinking like, "Yo, what's going on? Like, why has no one got at me yet?" Then you can talk to some other people, or you can talk to some other talent, and they'll be like, you know, they think it's just kind of there's a lot going on at the moment, and stuff kind of just gets lost in the shuffle, and you know, nothing too drastic will come of it. It's just take a little bit of time. You know? So some talent are proper chill about it. Some are kind of.
I think there's a confidence internally about retaining talent right now, which I think is probably making for a stressful time for some of those wrestlers you mentioned that are on the more the more anxious side of it. But that's what I mean, there's been like 1,000,001 stories, and most of them seem to just be like, we'll figure out the deal. We'll be fine.
Becky Lynch, they asked her why. It was like, your deal's coming up, and she's like, yes. And they were like, has it been fully figured out? She's like, no. And he's like, are you worried? And she's like, no, I'm not worried. And they're like, oh. He's like, all right.
That
and
one in particular was, I mean, I haven't heard anyone say anything, but she's absolutely not leaving that. You know what I'm saying? Like that one's, I think she's got leverage just because she's a massive star, but there's not leverage in terms of maybe Becky go to AEW. Like, there's not been any talk of that from where I see it. I don't know.
Yeah, she is going to sit home though for now.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, man. She.
I would have told my agent. I'm like,
I'm not mad about it. Damian Priest. Yeah, since we're talking about contracts, Damian Priest, another person signed a new contract. Natalia's contract's up in a couple months, according to
Tony. Get on the phone.
Drew McIntyre still not re-signed, so no change there. Hook is apparently interested in free agency. That's another one. So yeah, that's what Hook, Drew, Natty, Priest, Becky's taking time off. So that's like 4 contract updates, and Sheamus is debut. Sheamus is returning on Raw tomorrow. I don't think that necessarily means that he's locked in with WWE, because it could be like Edge had a nice little run send off at the end, so it could be something like that. But I'm starting to very much doubt so.
They added injury time for him.
It definitely could be. Give us some TV, like do some business on the way out the door. It could be. Mm-hmm. I don't know. As a fan, he's one I actually would like to see do other stuff, just because he's been there so long. But at the same time, if you told me he's going to be working with Kevin Owens or Bron Breakker, I'm like, cool, I'll do that too. I just want to see Sheamus wrestle again at this point.
I'm actually pretty jazzed up for him. Monty, I saw you posted a screenshot. I saw the vignette for his return, and it was like Sheamus is back, and he's standing in the smoke and shit. And I was like, oh my god,
he's sick.
I didn't realize how much I missed him. I was like, yo, like Sheamus.
He's the ultimate case of you realize how valuable he is when he's gone,
right?
Because you see his name on the format of a TV show, it's like you're gonna get 10 minutes. Physicality, he brings it every time. Just a tremendous pro.
He's the definition of your thing, Joe. Like, he just whacks people, He just fucking whacks.
Yeah.
I genuinely think he has hundreds of matches that are like 3 1/4, 3.5 on TV. Like, you don't remember them, but if I put them on now, you'd be like, fuck this,
I'll go, Joe. He made people think Solo Sikoa was good because they just threw Solo at Sheamus for 15 minutes for a couple weeks, and he just beat the dog shit out of that guy.
Yeah, man. So reliable.
Yeah.
Love Sheamus. Will again, $5. Was it true that Nick Khan pitched a movie for Bray to do, but Vince didn't want to do it?
I don't know.
Idea.
I have no idea.
Showtime sounds like Reddit law. Showtime Spurs for $10. Appreciate you. Shota versus Jack. I don't know if I've been in a better atmosphere for a match. Triller didn't do it justice. He won over the entire crowd body and changed my mind a bit about the footage too.
I thought he was awesome. I know you were speaking on it earlier, but I thought that match was so sick, man. It's just so pro wrestling, It's so pro wrestling. Jack is doing the guillotine after the choked out chance. That's just performance instincts right there. The atmosphere was great. And it's funny, physically, Jack did not even a fraction of what he normally would do during the peak Jungle Boy days in the ring. But it just felt like he had more of a mastery of the game, at least on this night. And I guess what remains to be seen now is how much of this heat is situational. But I tweeted this, and it might have been a bit over the top. But if Jack can sustain a reaction like this on AEW, you're going to have to do something notable with him, because you can't manufacture lightning in a bottle. What's going to be interesting is AEW fans don't side with CM Punk because he ruined the company in their view. But Jack Perry's the bad guy and the Bucks are bad guys. And I can very much envision a reality where the fans see Jack with the Bucks and they're doing the Crimea River singing and they're cheering for him. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play that, because they're going to be heels, but I can see a lot of fans cheering for them. So
Yeah.
See what happens.
Well, cheers on $5. Appreciate you. How did Mayho get WWE? How did Mayho get to WWE? Not move to Florida and come in when she wants. It's real boss shit. But how WWE decided for her to do that?
the simple response is Shawn Michaels is like hysterically chill. And so when she said,
say NXT,
yeah, like you kind of do whatever the fuck you want, man.
Yeah, such a sick place to go, dude. You just hired.
yeah. Fun fact, everybody. Apollo Crews thought he was going to get fired in like spring 2022. And so he hit up Shawn Michaels and he was like, he basically was like, statute of limitations have passed. I'll just say, he basically was just kind of like, yo, I don't think they remember I'm on the roster. Can I just like be here? And he was like, yeah. And he just slipped into NXT and just hung out there for a couple months.
Good for Crews, dude. And he's still there. He's back on the main roster now, right?
Yeah, he does main event.
Yeah. Good for him.
He just hit in NXT.
As he should.
G.
I'd do that, bro. If I was up when they were doing those releases, I would have fucking hit out, dude. I'd be looking out the window every day in my Orlando fucking.
Here's another one. I found out that like some of the main roster to NXT appearances, a lot of it is just like the guy calling Shawn like, "Can I wrestle? I live here," and he's like, "I don't give a fuck." And like Joaquin Wilde, he's just kind of like, "I don't have a match," and he's like, "Yeah," and then Shawn just does it and tells him, he's like, "Yeah, the LWO's here," and he's like, "Oh, cool." And it's like whatever. It's like all right.
GN £2, appreciate your next big exit from WWE and AEW respectively.
Well, if you asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said Sheamus.
I still think Sheamus is leaving personally.
Yeah, I still think there's potential there.
I'm starting to doubt Sheamus leaving now, to be honest.
Depends on what this angle is on Monday. If he's like attacking Drew McIntyre and shit, then it's like, I don't know. But who's leaving? Who would you leave? Maybe Ricky Starks. I think
it's hard because generally, they're not always the case, but often the guys and girls that are actually going to leave, they're quiet about it, you know. It will happen quick. Not always. Someone like Andrade will just be like, "Oh, I'm definitely leaving this place," and then leaves at the first chance he can. Mm-hmm. But it's like it is hard to read sometimes. At this point in the game, Ricky feels like a safe bet. But guess what? We could have said that for the last fucking 18 months, right? Like I don't know what I'm
saying it for 18 months.
Yeah, I don't know when his deals are.
Oh, I don't buy into pretty much when like when the narrative is like, oh, this person hates AEW and wants to leave. Like it's how often is it the case, bro? Like I remember before it was like X, Y, and Z have requested the release, and then the party then they'll sign a new deal. Like FTR is like the most blatant example. It's like the way that they've dealt with Punk, they're not going to stay. They ended up signing long-term deals.
Yeah.
I think like Malachi Black signed until like 2027, isn't he? Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like Buddy Matthews. Like he's
Ricky. I do think is kind of
lurking.
It does feel like his TV cycle. It feels like it would be time for him to move on. To me, as a fan of Ricky Starks, I look at the way he's been used, and I know he's had his injuries and he took a little time, but to me, it does feel like it would be time if he's going to take that leap. It's now. I don't know what he wants to do.
Brother.
Yeah, a little bit, because it's like he's had so many like kind of half starts with pushes, and think what you will of him as a talent. I know that the WrestlePurists roster widely disagrees on Ricky, but whatever you think of him, he's had a bunch of like almost moments, right?
I think
we feel like I love Ricky. I
wish wrestlers would leave companies more. Like
yeah.
I had a conversation with someone within AEW about this, and I said, like, any wrestler that has main event aspirations that is not in that spot and they've been in that company for years should just be looking to leave. If nothing else but to increase their stock in a different place and then explore either returning or going somewhere else. And that's how it was in a British Bulldog in the 1990s. Had like 3 separate stints with the WWF within 1 decade, and there's so many wrestlers that would just go in and out. And like, you'd be surprised to learn like so many notable wrestlers who had notable runs like never stayed in one place for longer than about 3 years.
Yeah.
And now it's like these guys have to get locked down and they're stuck and they don't go anywhere and they don't progress their careers. And there's only a certain amount of top spots in the major companies. And I know security is a big thing, but I just wish there was more movement. And I wish there was also more places to viably work and get paid properly for their services.
Yeah.
That's also a big issue. But like if Japan was booming and thriving and could pay people,
that would help. Yeah.
It would help so much. There's guys that I think are really good that like I get why the company they're in isn't pushing them, but I'm like, man, imagine if that guy just was like, I don't know, did
Also,
Noah.
If TNA had any cool factor too, like
Yeah.
if TNA was like a place where it was like the hardcore fans, like, oh, that'd be cool if they went to TNA, but that isn't the vibe at all with TNA. It's like a shame.
Well, choosing $5. I love how they didn't list William Regal as a real person looking at talent outside the US law. What's he talking about?
Yeah, what's Chisholm
I
talking?
thought William Regal
what
was
list?
excited.
He's very much that is very much what he does. That is very
No, but what list?
What is this list?
I don't know. Maybe it's Jericho's gimmick. You can speak to this better, but like Regal kind of does a little bit of everything at this point, doesn't he? He's like,
yes.
I've heard like 10 different roles given to Regal.
On a given day, William Regal will be on Wrestling Universe going, "Hey Hunter, this guy's pretty good," and then we'll FaceTime with someone in Orlando about the progress of a wrestler, and then by the end of the night, he's yelling at Bronson Reed, and Gorilla. So,
Corey David, $5. Appreciate you. Over Femi had top 5 match last weekend. He is the future. Give me double champ Oba after Ilya drops the trick. Oba in less than a year has passed. Oh my, bro, Omos.
Where is Omos?
Bro, he is past much more respected names and fucking like I like Omos and I get the pop out of him because like he's just fucking huge.
He's tall, isn't he? Yeah.
He's tall. He had a good match with Brock at Mania. He had was it Brock at Mania?
Yeah, Brock and Bob both.
Yeah, Bob Lash. Yeah, bro, he's fucking on it.
Where is he?
He was in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal and accidentally eliminated himself.
No, the Creeds eliminated him.
It was
the Creeds.
When you watch it,
I get Omos being a house show act because that actually is kind of awesome, but we gotta get MVP back on the TV show.
I agree.
Dude.
I agree.
Yeah, 100%.
He's such an undervalued asset. He's so good on TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. But yeah, Obafemi, obviously, Omos, that's without question, bro. He's the real deal, man. I've said it.
Omos.
Listen, bro, he's 7'3", That works in any building in the world,
How many more years until Nick Khan is like it's cutting season? Nick Khan's like, all right, man, no,
he can't. He's too tall.
I feel like WWE always releases the 7-footers about like 2 years later than it was time. It's
because it's like you can get any guy come in and do Poison Ranas, but you can only get one 7'3".
Shanky, we knew it was over with Shanky. Remember Shanky, guys?
Shanky is just it's just a crazy project altogether. I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, Obafemi's great, man. I do truly think he's gonna
have a good match with Ivar.
And what? Oh yeah, of course he's doing.
Yeah, Ivar.
I thought you were just like fantasy booked him.
No.
He's wrestling Ivar. They did the angle on Tuesday.
Yeah. They're gonna have
came out in jeans, Joe.
Yeah. I saw it. Yeah, I like the Raiders are good workers. Like people don't realize now, but their reputation used to be like crazy good. Before they got signed, people were so high on them.
Bro, even at the start of NXT,
they did good.
At the start of NXT, it was like they were having bangers on takeovers. Yeah. They were doing. I remember they had a really good match with Undisputed Era.
Yeah, Fish and O'Reilly, I think it was.
I think it's remarkable. I think it's remarkable how well Hansen has done as a single because he's just the guy that has 10-minute matches on TV and they're like all pretty good.
The crazy thing about him is the word on him before he got signed was like his back was so bad he couldn't pass.
He's always been Hanson in my brain. The other one's Rowe.
No, we didn't that thing, man.
Respect.
It's not even like it's his actual name either. Like, it's just
his wrestling name. That's how I
To
came
be
up
fair,
with
his
American
wrestling
Idol.
name's Ivar, and it's been Ivar for fucking how long now? Like,
I still call JD McDonough Jordan.
That
The
one's
word on
okay
him-
because JD Jordan Devlin, and I don't even mind Steve. I don't even mind when he does Steve.
But Hanson is
Hanson, let's not take the piss, bro. Like, what the fuck? Like,
Either way,
we get it.
the
You used to
word
know him
was-
back then.
Can I get
We get it.
trivia out? Ivar, what the fuck we're calling him? He apparently a decade ago they were saying his back was so bad he wouldn't pass the WWE medical. That was the word on him. He's the one who's healthy now. They're wrestling weekly matches on
Yeah,
TV.
man, it's really is a shame about Eric as well, man. Because it's his neck, isn't it?
breaking his neck. Yeah.
Yeah. So, hopefully he can come back because, as Joe said, man, Raiders, Viking, War Raiders, whatever the fuck you want to call it, they're a good tag team, man.
What if we've summed these two up in one fell swoop here? What if we do the Omos and Ivar Express?
That was sick.
Oh, that is truly sick. Anyway, Will Chisholm, $5. How much y'all? Will, please, bro. I know it's like an ongoing bit and stuff, but like just read it before, because this is your money, bro. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I appreciate the support, giving a shit to talk about. Come on, bro. Just at least read it. Make sure it makes sense before you press send. Anyway, word for word, this is how much y'all the Vince will really try to start off a new wrestling company because he's crazy.
The Vince. Yeah, I mean,
how much do we think he's gonna start a new promotion? I don't think he is.
No.
This is a topic because Dave was talking about it on Observer Radio and how Vince is stubborn and he might just try to start a company. But it's like, do you know how much wrestlers that would choose to work there would get made fun of? Like if they
I know. No, Vince is obviously there's going to be a few people who like, oh, Triple H didn't push me as much as Vince, and you can imagine the kind of wrestlers they are. They're probably the more bizarre ones, But who's going to want to work for Vince, man?
I'm sorry to say that list is longer than we're comfortable with. If we're being real.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think you'd be really surprised.
For a start promotion, bro. Because it's not just working for Vince, it's working with Vince in the faith that he's going to be able to create a viable fucking promotion.
Okay, before we go any further, this isn't going to happen. But if he's going to make a promotion, it won't be like he's going to just start running shows on Fight. Like, he'll do a TV deal at the start,
The main event
of course.
The main event of that first show was Elias versus Chris Masters.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I think we're doing.
I don't know, man. Fellas, I really don't. Wrestlers are fucking freaks, dude.
Yeah, no, but it's not even just like, can they get over working with a pervert? Like, it's not just that. Like, it's just why
take the risk?
Why would you take that risk as your career?
You take bookings for the NWA. What? And you're
it's like Riddle and Elias. Then like, okay. Do you know what I mean? But if anyone who's actually like working in WWE at the moment to do that,
I don't think people are going to defect over.
I don't either. I don't think we'll have to find out. Hopefully, we don't. Hopefully, he stays as far away from wrestling as possible.
Correct.
Before another Vince 149. What's stopping Vince from offering Anthem $4 million for TNA next year and him and Kevin Dunn run it? Scared this is a real option.
Okay. Vince running TNA is.
Where is this?
Basically, in the thing about his shares, there was a thing about like he has to wait a year until he can start a new wrestling venture.
Yes.
Which is just like a legal formality. But people have taken that as like, oh, Vince is obviously, and Dave was kicking it around as if we mentioned. But I don't think any of this is going to happen. That is. If you combining total non-stop action with Vince McMahon could legitimately end the world. Like, I don't. The damage those two different things have done to the earth. If you put them together, I may just explode on the spot, bro. I'm telling you.
Yo, the thing is, somehow, Russo's just gonna be by Vince's doorstep,
Ferrara,
Jackson Riker.
Bruce will walk out on the first day.
Bruce walking. One of these dopey wrestlers is gonna like stupidly just like co-sign it publicly and get like destroyed. You know, like our truth.
Well, they're not because it's not fucking happening. Anyway,
It's not happening.
Horse 499, appreciate it.
Christ,
Don't want to come off as incentive, but Uncle Howdy and I assume Bliss coming back feels like a step back in the direction WWE is going. Y'all thought, brother, we spoke about this a bit earlier, so maybe after we finish live, you can kind of go back. But we actually had quite a decent conversation about all this. So I appreciate the support, though, but we have already gone in that direction, so you can get your money's worth with a little bit of a rewind, you know. But yeah, appreciate you as always, Hush. It's definitely an interesting one. All right, keep the super chats coming. We'll get to them as and when we can. We'll kick them around a bit. Any predictions as well, anything like that. Anyway, what? Zack Sabre Jr., Matt Riddle, they had a good match. Nick Nemeth, Ishii, popped me huge. Can't lie.
Yeah, man.
It was. I was talking to Joe about this. It was quite an important match for Nemeth because, like, he's had like decent matches since leaving WWE, you know, but he hasn't really like. I don't know how to explain it, man, because it makes it sound like you're saying he's had bad matches, but he hasn't really like captured anyone's imagination, really. You know,
hasn't broken the mold.
That's what I mean. And if you see an indie card and he's been booked on it like a Bloodsport or one of these New Japan Strong shows or Windy City Riot, like we've just seen, like it does pop you to see his name on the card. But the matches kind of just happen, you know. And it's like I enjoy watching Dolph, Nick Nemeth, whatever you want to call him, as much as the next man. He's a very, very good professional wrestler. But this Ishii match, as that match was about to start, I was like, Nemeth needs a good match here, bro. Like, we need to see him have a good match here with Ishii as well. And he did. Went about 14 minutes. Non-title match. Nemeth got the win. And yeah, man, he played Ishii's game as well, Joe. It was a good time, man. Give you a chance to talk about it.
I loved this match, but I do want to note that like we're watching it on a watch along, and you can get carried away on those at 4 a.m. You know, like here's what it is. I've not rewatched it. I will at some point. I thought it came off really well, and the main reason I think is that Nemeth was like self-aware enough to understand how he should wrestle the match. In that when he would hit Ishii with a strike, Ishii would be like, "All right, bro," you know, like he understood that. And though he has lost some of his physical gifts, it can't be overstated. The way that dude bumps at 43 years old is fucking insane. Like he still bumps like a madman. So yeah, I thought it was a really strong match. I liked it an awful lot. Again, maybe I'll feel differently on rewatch. There's a couple moments where Nemeth's offense isn't quite up to it, but that's something we've talked about for months. That's not the strong, you know, that's something I think he does need to add some more strings to his bow. But I thought it came off really, really well. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it's some good stuff, man. I'm enjoying just getting to see him kind of explore the wrestling world, you know. So yeah, man, he was in WWE for a long time, made a lot of money, and now he's on his like love for the game run, people.
You know what he needs? He needs a nice stiff kick in the chest by Bryan Danielson on a Collision episode.
Oh yeah,
can we get
I
that?
think many people would be against it.
Can we get that? I really want to see that. I didn't watch this match. I didn't get to see it, but
big fan.
Good shit, man.
It's a good match.
Joe, what was his primary strike of choice in this match?
So the bit he did was that because Ishii wasn't selling, he had to trial different things. So at times he was throwing punches like he was on Nitro, which was beast because like that makes the most sense. But as he got deeper in it, he started busting out the headbutt. Now, this is like a forgotten Nick Nemeth thing, but that was like a thing he did on WWE TV for a bit because they would always say be more aggressive, so he started throwing a headbutt. Watching him do that with Tomohiro Ishii was quite the there was a novelty to that. So yeah, he was mixing it up. Like Ishii is the most reliable wrestler in wrestling, but the thing with Ishii is you have to kind of play his game to an extent, otherwise you're wasting your own time, right? That's the whole point. People want to see Ishii kill. I thought they did a good job. I'm intrigued what you think of it. It may not work for you. A lot of people didn't like the match. It was very divisive from what I saw.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. I'm looking forward to it. I got to see that one, and I still have to see. I've seen everything notable on this show except for that, and because I watched this out of order. That and the ZSJ Matt Riddle match. I got to check that.
Did you see the Ali match?
I attempted to see the Ali match. It was
Have thoughts?
it was 2:30 in the morning, and I was watching it, and there was a plushie,
And then you wasn't.
plushie, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, this is fine. And then I next thing you know, I wake up and like I'm on Spotify, and I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
I'm watching this Mustafa Ali, and next thing you know, I wake up. It's hell of a quote.
That's sincerely not even a bit. Like I just passed out.
Yeah.
Man.
To be fair, like I'm not a big Ali fan, but in his defense, Takahashi had no interest in.
No, he
doing
was
that match.
not.
Hiromu fucks. This dude is like, he's like, brother, I'm gonna be a junior for the rest of my career. I have nothing left to prove. I got the matches against Dragon Lee and Kushida. You can go on New Japan World and watch them shits.
Yeah,
Go fuck
he don't
yourself.
give a shit.
He is very tapped out right now. It's
Yes.
like, ever since Leo Rush got ill and had to leave New Japan, Hiromu has not been like on his
Yeah.
game.
I love Hiromu as well because he came
Oh,
back
yeah.
in-
Oh
I
yeah,
think it
big
was
fan.
like 2022 when he came back from injury. I don't know. One of the more recent times he came back from injury, and he looked really game. And he even looked like at one point that it seemed viable for him to be moving up to heavyweight with like the way they were using him, and then they just didn't. And
Yeah,
now
I
we
think
get
he's
performances
beat up.
like he dropped on the weekend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think
Bro,
physically.
Go ahead, Joe.
No, I just think he's beat up. That's all. Yeah.
I think it's kind of rules that he's in this mode at 32, which is hysterical.
Like the good old
It's
days.
a huge shame though as well because it's just like we talk about New Japan this year, and it's like I'm very much, as Joe mentioned earlier when we was talking about Max winning the heavyweight title. It's like I'm no like expert who's watching all the Road 2s and up to date with all the feuds that are going on and what matches are going to book for the next pay-per-view and stuff. But you kind of see like the highlights and the checkpoints that you need to, and the title changes and whatnot.
I'll give it to you, Moxley. Here's what
Moxley,
you're missing.
bro, fuck me. I didn't even get half of the point out before he was trying to fucking run me over.
My apologies.
Anyway, you watch all this. You watched New Japan recently, and it's just I don't want to say completely lifeless because but it's definitely not exactly the most exciting promotion at the moment. Naito, of course, just dropped the belt, which hopefully can change that. But that heavyweight division, you've lost Okada, you've lost Ospreay. Doesn't Hiromu make all the sense in the world? And again, I'm no New Japan expert, and I'm sure this point, and I've seen this point said a lot, has been beaten to death. But what the fuck? Why is he not in the heavy? Why is he not
I don't know.
Not just in the division. He should be in the world title picture.
I agree. Everybody's pointed this out, and
I'd have him beat Max over Naito.
All I know is
I actually would.
People have suggested Hiromu as a heavyweight to kind of inject some interest there, and people have also asked for Despy as a heavyweight, but
I'm people.
Right.
Is Despy signed now? Yeah. Because I remember that it was so weird with him for a minute.
I believe so.
Apparently he wasn't signed, but he actually was signed the whole time. But no, he wasn't. I don't know.
There was rumors about his contract, and he basically came out and said, "You guys are all chatting shit." So
yeah, what I was going to interject with Monty was just that what you've missed by not watching closely is everybody is fighting with House of Torture and the War Dogs.
I see that.
Yeah,
I see that.
Dogs and House of Torture. Drop the entire.
I just don't actually watch the shows. You
don't need to. You really need
to. But yeah, I don't
know. It's weird. Despy should have been best at Super Juniors this year. I don't know why he's still there. God bless. I love the man, and I'm not going to be upset about some of the matches. But why is he still in this?
Did you see the
tournament?
Did you see the lineup?
I did see the lineup, and if Francesco Akira doesn't win, then I might retire from being a New Japan fan.
I don't think he's winning. To be honest.
Neither do I, but I've already accepted
giving yourself the out, pre-booking it. I respect it, Charlie. I respect it. I tapped out on New Japan I think I was talking about it earlier in the week. This year I've watched Wrestle Kingdom. I watched that cage match. That
God bless.
the War Dogs cage match that went about 7 hours. I watched that on like 2 times speed. Admittedly,
Probably didn't
I mean, messaging it, but like I found this great hack, like bro.
I was so mad at you.
You didn't experience full glory
I'm gonna watch
of
this
the
cage
hour and 74-minute match that they had. We did that on the watch along, and that was quite the experience. I was like my second late night grim watch along, and we were watching this fucking cage match. I was like, I need to go. Like,
it was a lot, man. So look, that Wrestle Kingdom, that cage match. I did watch the New Japan Cup final, Goto versus Yota.
That was very good.
I did
that
watch
match was
that.
better than the Suji Naito match.
I did not
Way
watch
better.
that. I did not watch that.
I got around to watching it the other day. I was like, damn.
And I watched Windy. I watched a lot of. I watched I didn't watch all of Windy City Riot, but I watched what we spoke about. So
there's a lot of wrestling, man.
Yeah.
It's, I can't be watching New Japan when people are telling me it's as bad as it is at the moment. Like Joe said, there's too much wrestling at the moment, bro. Like I can't. I can't justify giving that time to that promotion at the moment. This Mox thing, maybe it's in a shot of life that they needed, but when you tell me that Ren Narita is going to be the person he's feuding with and who he's going to be having these Road 2 tags with or whatever the fuck, and it's like...
It's also that, like, if you force yourself to watch it to be a completionist, like, you will actually go insane.
Yes.
Like, the idea of me waking up and being like, I'm going to watch Ren Narita so I can talk about it on Worldwide, that would do no good for any of us, Like,
yeah. There's some days actually where, like, when it gets overwhelming like that, you're like, all right, I'm not going to watch any wrestling today, actually.
It's important. Like, I'm not even saying, I know the last one I do is talk about being a content creator. That's like the most fucking lame shit. I'm just talking as wrestling fans. Like, watch the stuff you want to watch, because when you start, like, ticking boxes with your viewing of professional wrestling, it's a wrap, bro. I've done it. Yeah. It's not good.
You're going to be on your 4th undercard scramble match with your eyes glazed over, like, oh my God.
I watched a lot Mania weekend to support friends that were on shows, but bro, some of those cards were brutal.
The cards were, but at least Mania weekend is like the week where you splurge, right? You kind of go, I'm going to watch, I always do, I'm going to watch some stuff that I wouldn't usually watch. And you regret it, but you do it anyway. It's Mania week.
I was so tired for like 6 days after.
It's like heavy drinking when you know how you're going to feel afterwards,
Because I went to like actual indie shows in Cardiff that weekend as well. Like I did the Mania weekend thing and went to shows.
How many times are you going to see how many times are you going to see the thing where everyone else is now out of the ring and one guy's in the ring and he looks at the hard cam and he's hopping in place and the crowd goes, oh, and then he hits the rope and then he does his little fucking, twirl to the outside.
Michael Oku. Michael Oku, he does that run up to his dive.
He does.
I don't know why he does it.
I've decided I hate that now. The when you're like hopping in place before you do your dive, right? And you're looking at the camera and you're like, you make that like O face, like, oh,
I'm about to do a dive.
Just do your fucking dive, you piece of shit.
Yeah. So I'm not even
again. There was no fanfare about it.
Right. It's like a bullet, but like it's just one thing. It's not a big deal, but it's just when you see it, it's like, fuck. Like, can you just look like you want to hurt the guy with this?
That's the thing. These scrambles turn into like legitimately, and I'm not trying to be like that guy, but they turn into it's like when your cousins come over and you're all just kind of like fighting on your bed, It's like everyone's just kind of having fun. Like
the thing is, like, seriously, it ain't on the guys in the matches. The reality is, that's just the only way to do those matches at this point, right?
Yes.
Like you're booked when a promoter books a scramble match, they want you to do that exact match.
Mm-hmm.
You do that match. If you go in there and start doing a fucking limb work to pop WrestlePurists Worldwide, you're going to get unbooked very, very quickly. So, again, do your thing. It's just, I just sometimes wish that like guys would watch their stuff back and go, well, maybe I don't need to do that particular run up,
Funny enough, Joe, I've spoken to indie wrestlers this year, and like the one commonality that surprised me was They actually all hate scrambles, and I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I don't like these.
I agree. Most wrestlers would agree
Just
with
another
our
show to be booked on, isn't it?
Yes, booking
That's what
it.
it is.
Yeah.
It's a booking. Yeah.
It's a booking, brother.
You get a viral moment out of a scramble, then at least you got something worthy out of it.
You got a GIF, you could repost it, you get booked somewhere else.
Yeah, man. Go get out there.
A couple things.
What a conversation. I don't know how we got here.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah, that's the beauty of these shows, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple things I want to say for worldwide. Obviously, mainly WWE related. I'm thinking of Charlie. You know.
Yeah.
I got a minute. So, is there anything you'd like to ask me, Montel? Putting you on the spot here.
How about?
Sure.
How about?
Okay.
This is more take. Oh, fuck you, Scoops. I don't fucking care. WWE reportedly are basically mostly canning the augmented reality shit that they're doing with the entrances, where like the big fucking hologram of like Becky Lynch's face comes up and all the lore. The family tree with the bloodline. Remember that one?
Yeah.
There's been some funny ones. There's been some terrible ones. I think Cody's one is the only one that's like not.
It's just a symbol.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not completely awful because
It's not a person. That's the key.
You know?
Yeah.
You love talking about the aesthetics of the game. So this is
what
a
matters
step in the right direction, isn't it?
This is what matters in wrestling. This was a big for me personally on a human level. I saw this news report and I genuinely was like, oh my God, let's go. You know, because they do these shitty ass PS2 fucking graphics on and I always ask myself, is this making anybody's entrance better? No. You remember Big Time Bex where she had like this fucking Thanksgiving parade float of herself? Like it was terrifying. So yeah, no, I'm glad this is
Riddle's birds. Remember that?
Glad birds and shit. looks like fucking shit. I'm not watching a game show. This is pro wrestling. Look, Judgment Day, for example, right? The opening shot of their entrance where it's like black and they're like standing underneath like this white spotlight and like the shadows are on them. It looks so good, right? And then the beat drops and you get these ugly purple wings sprouting up. And I'm like, this looks so good. And then it looks like shit. And you know, minimalism can be good. You know, they're making the stages smaller again. You know, they're muting down the colors on the arena with the lights. They tone down the amount of lights. The barricades, they're black, like Joe pointed out. Getting rid of this augmented reality nonsense. This is all
way to watchable.
This is all being done so that my eyes hurt a little bit less on a Monday night, and I appreciate it. So this is a massive upgrade.
Big win.
And I think the next industry trend should be everybody stripping back their production and presentation style. There's a way to do it, in my opinion, while still simultaneously looking big league. People now, they think, oh, to look major league, we got to do the LEDs everywhere. We got to do the lights. We got to do the CGI. Not necessarily. Yeah, I'm glad they're doing this. I hope other companies follow suit in toning down that bullshit. And I'm excited. They're no longer doing the big LED square in the stage as well. And
the new setup is cool.
It is,
the last two things on that side of things that are like not the actual wrestling product but are the product, if that makes sense for WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're talking before the show. The music needs serious help.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also some cool wrestling belts would be helpful too.
Correct. Better belts.
Yeah.
I heard that there was like talk of Cody getting a new belt after Backlash, so I'm hopeful on that one. That music is fucking cooked. That music is so bad.
Dude, AJ's new theme is like the perfect example of them just why, dude?
Braun Breaker one's crazy as well. Bro.
Yeah, I didn't
Braun
even
Breaker
know
and
that
AJ
was new.
Styles this week. And
Yeah.
the only good thing they've done recently is that they changed Tiffany Stratton's back to the old
Back,
one.
yeah.
All the themes
It
sound
could
like
never have even been considered for change because it was so perfect for her. Like,
every woman's
why?
every woman's theme sounds like when you're watching a reality show centered around women and like a fight scene is about to break out and they're playing that weird like trap beat or something and like you go to a confessional and it's like I don't like that bitch and da 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 da. Just go back and listen to any of these fucking songs. They're so terrible. Yeah, music is a big part. I'm sick of Royal Rumbles where I don't know who the fuck's coming out, you know? So
That's
It's
tough.
brutal.
That's what Jim Johnson. I know, like it's kind of like a cliche at this point because he's gone. You know, that one's like he ain't getting employed by WWE again because if they were gonna do it, they would have done it by now. You know, but Jim Johnston really was like he deserves his spot in the Hall of Fame and shit. You know, like he was so good at like capturing the essence of a wrestler with a theme song.
I have a semi-embarrassing thing to admit. The other day I was working out to Dan Severn's theme song. You just look it up on Spotify.
UFC 300, brother. You know.
That's crazy.
He was godly, bro. Jim was godly, and they've never been perfect since, you know. But,
bro, you know he got with Motorhead to do the Evolution theme. Like it was him that came up with the guitar, the
Evolution is a mystery.
Oh my, yo! Before I leave, I actually saw a live performance of that song by Motorhead. You know they don't know the lyrics to that song at all.
Oh yeah, you could. When they did it, that was crazy. When they did it at Mania.
Let me just. Evolution is a mystery. Motorhead gonna kick your ass.
Even a quick super chat.
Right.
Corey David, $5. $5. Ibu. How would you book Drake in this war? What's your next move? Hit back at Rick Ross or focus on K-Dot? It's starting to look like Taker at Royal Rumble.
Yeah, the Rick Ross thing is mid-card shit. That's already kind of boring. He's like, it's now turned into a thing of like they're doing dueling Instagram stories where Rick Ross is like, huh, big nose, and Drake's like, huh, fatty. It's like, who gives a fuck? So they did their little jabs at each other. That's fine. The meat of the matter, folks, is Kendrick Lamar versus Drake. Drake, focus on Kendrick. You're playing these weird leaking games, and you're giving the songs to
That's
DJ.
a Mania match.
That's the main match, you know.
Yeah.
Just drop the fucking song. Like do official drops. Stop sending things to DJ Academics.
Bro, that was corny as fuck. Because it's like leaked. Like, you know, it's so corny, bro.
It's that cowardly shit of like, if people think it's bad, you could just kind of be like, oh, this wasn't even supposed to drop. Like it's a little thing here. And the other funny thing that Drake is doing is in the song, he basically kind of goes and says like, this isn't even like the final form. Like I got more for Kendrick, and that's always a form of protection. And also it's kind of you're pump faking. You're trying to let people know that you got nukes on your end, which he probably does. But yeah, so focus on Kendrick. I think he might be afraid. Maybe Kendrick knows something about him. I wonder how many more songs until Kendrick mentions the Millie Bobby Brown thing. We'll see what happens there.
Next week.
We'll see who has the red button here. Maybe they both ever. I was talking to my brother about this before I leave. We were saying like,
Ibu said before I leave like 4 times.
It happens. Fuck it. But in hip hop, it's funny with diss songs because it's like, how do you decide who won? Is it literally the better song, or is it just who had more reveals and holy shit moments in the songs? And it depends. You know, like if Kendrick drops a really good song like a jazz beat, but Drake's like, you know, I fucked your wife. You know, it's like people are gonna say he won. So
yeah, it's a combination. Is it like the actual songs have to be good, but it's like if there is like big reveals, it's like obviously the Pusha T one on Drake was just like, you know,
you have a son. It's like, whoa,
that's an all-time great moment in the world.
Just you have a son.
The delivery on that particularly is like an incredible moment, man.
And it's your son, and it's like what? Like, holy
he's
what a fucking beast.
I mean, listen to that song recently,
bro.
Pusha
didn't get Pusha don't really catch strays and this shit. You know?
No, that shit's over.
Because those types of dudes are free. Like you diss Pusha, he's gonna have a response song in like 5 hours.
Pusha texting Kanye West trying to get dirt on the industry. You know Kanye's gonna leak everything.
Oh my god, he's just gonna be.
Anyway,
I was going no Diddy, and it's like, all right, bro.
This is a Graps podcast, apparently.
The cover of Kendrick's next diss song is just gonna be a picture of Drake and Diddy. You know, like All right, guys, thank you so much for having me. I got to get back to adulting, unfortunately. And hopefully my dog doesn't attack my knee.
WrestlePurists worldwide.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
adulting.
that is the thing. That's tomorrow, right? Right. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tomorrow is Monday.
I guess so. All right, thank you guys. Take care.
Much love. Much love. Much
See you,
love.
boo.
All right. Matt Hennessy, €5.99. He says, if Rock is back in November, could we get war games of Rock, Fatu, Tonga, and Sikoa versus Roman, the Usos, and Sami? Assume we get the six-man tag in the summer. I think both of those things are very possible, to be honest. Especially if Rock's around and they're doing like a whole Bloodline Civil War Part 2 thing, then it's right itself. If you can get him in an 8-man tag,
It sounds awesome. It's just one of those things that, like, I'll believe it when I see it, just because the idea of Rock doing war games sounds insane.
Too funny to be true.
Yeah.
But that is
Dwayne standing in the little cage.
an interesting super chat name, man. A big fan of Jason Solomon. That's who Solomon's, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, I will not repeat. What feud would you like more? Obafemi versus Ilya Dragunov or Bron Breakker versus Jacob Fatu? The latter as a feud. Because Bron Breakker versus Fatu would be like an athletic milestone in the professional wrestling business.
Can we just get Obafemi versus Fatu? Like, can we do that one instead?
Yeah.
And everyone knows I'm Obafemi's biggest fan.
There's when Jacob shows up, worldwide is going to get very nasty.
I think, bro,
You have to tune in to shows. I think Jacob Fatu fucking rocks. Like, I've seen him live a couple of times. He's incredible to watch.
Unbelievable.
The Jacob Fatu thing is fucking awesome because it's like because he wasn't like on AEW and he hasn't ever been like TNA world champion or anything like that, like. And also combined with the fact that he's obviously going to be coming into this Bloodline story, which, of course, look what it's done for like Solo. Say what you want about Solo if you think he's terrible, if you think he's bad, whatever. Just him being in the Bloodline story, he's set for life, bro. Like he's gonna be signing autographs when he's 60 from like the shit he's done the past couple of years, So knowing that Fatu is gonna come in like a main event or at least heavily featured like storyline. He's going to get a fair chance as well. He's going to get a good chance to get his shit off. And the reason I say all that and drag this out is because it makes it super exciting because Jacob Fatu is a fucking animal. Like, he's the sort of person who's going to show up and he's going to put the world on notice, And like that's exciting because it's like if you've been following him for a few years and you kind of know or you hear like rumors of like the ins and outs and the behind the scenes stuff. Like there was very much a very strong belief within the industry for however many years now that like he wasn't ever going to end up at one of the top two, even though talent wise he's been more than good enough for a long time now. So just really happy to see. Well, expecting to see him really put the world on notice because he's a fucking animal, man. Yeah. He's like Solo.
Have a 12-minute match with Ricochet.
It's like what you want Solo to be without trying to take a shot at Solo, but like
he's just a different. He's athletically, he's just like on a different planet. Like that says more about him than Solo. Solo is very much like the type of enforcer that you've seen on wrestling TV forever, right? Like he's steady and he's fine. I don't dislike him much as a lot of it, but Jacob TV. Is not. Yeah, Jacob is not something that you've seen very often.
He's an animal.
I think whoever's producing his first angle, you need to get in there the big moonsault because he basically does the BME. If he does that in his first angle, the way that he lands that 9 times out of 10, people will be like, "What the fuck just happens?" The blood,
And not his pop-up Samoan drop that he does.
he's
he's
terrifying.
he's just an animal, and again, like just so like athletically striking with some of the shit he can do.
Yeah,
He's,
and beyond the moves and the athleticism, he also is like he feels like an absolute lunatic because from what we understand, that ain't the furthest from the truth.
Oh, by the way, he's a phenomenal promo as well. You know,
he can
talk his ass off as well. So
the way he calls live crowds is like there's not a lot of wrestlers I've seen on the indies hold live crowds the way that he does.
Yeah, it's a raw thing where a guy who feels like an ass kicker comes in the building, the people go, "Oh shit!" You know, it's like it's one of those things you know it when you see it. There's not many wrestlers who have it. He definitely has it. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's very safe to say that he's the member of the family, the two families bound by blood. You know, the dynasty, the Samoan dynasty that closely remembers Umaga. Remembers the late great Umaga, because he was very much a lot of the things that we've just said about Fatu.
Yeah, he was a freak.
Just strikingly, athletically impressive, just a fucking monster, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
he Fatu feels like the evolution of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I think there's a clip when Umaga was doing All Japan. I think it's the Kawada match. He does like a moonsault. And it very much is like, yeah, it feels like we're kind of seeing the next stage. Now, I don't think Jacobs is... I don't think Jacobs is big, right? I don't think he's big.
He's not.
Because Umaga was a big fella. Big fella. But hopefully, like, you know, because of Jacob's style, let's be real, he needs to be careful with that. Because I know he's actually has lost a lot of weight because with the way that dude wrestles, his knees need him to be generous to himself in that regard, right? Like, he's doing fucking moonsaults and... Ranas off the top rope. So, yeah, I'm very hopeful, and it's saying that I think will greatly increase my interest in the Bloodline business, to be honest.
Yeah, man. Tamatonga in there as well. We'll talk about it a bit more extensively, like that whole angle and stuff. Do it tomorrow on Worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, Solo Sikoa thinking he's the tribal chief. Paul Heyman was poor Paul. You know, petrified.
Terrified, yeah.
Some of the screenshots I saw were very, very funny.
He was amazing in that segment.
He was.
He was watching, like, he sold the attack on Jimmy like Jimmy was actually being killed. Like, he was being murdered. Jimmy, though, dude, he isn't, like, good, obviously, but God, that dude is funny. Like, they're doing this whole segment, Chuck, where... We'll review it tomorrow, but basically, Solo is explaining that like losing matches matters and there's consequences, and the whole time Jimmy is just like grinning wide and like, "Yeah, tell him, Solo." He has like no idea that he's about to get killed by his brother. You know, it's fucking God bless him. He's fun TV, even if the matches are very unfortunate.
Jimmy's reacting. You know, we'll talk about it tomorrow. What else? You know what? What have I got for after? You know what? Super chats.
Super chats.
Yeah, they are reliable. GN £2. That famous up was wild. Is Nemeth doing the G1? I hope so. Honestly, I hope so. The bracket being that big is like there's no way you can. Yeah, I was gonna say there's no way you can kind of skip him if he's available and wants to do it.
Yeah. The problem is he going to win the TNA belt? Because if so, that might complicate things. He's their world champ. Yeah, but like, how can they? I don't know if that will be a political issue.
Who gives a fuck? You know?
Well, I don't. I'm just, you know.
That's what I mean. It's like
TNA thing. I think TNA will care.
Who knows, mate? You know, who knows?
I mean, the way they treat their belts, he could win it and then lose it 2 weeks later at a taping.
Sure. So. Yeah.
Cody Wills 499, appreciate you as always. Going to SmackDown on Friday, and as it turns out, the United Kingdom has taken away my world champion for the week, and maybe I'll get Jacob Fatu instead. Maybe that is genuinely quite a real possibility. I think a lot of people were kind of expecting him to show up on Friday, but it was Tama, you know. So obviously there'll be more development with the Bloodline Wolfpack, you know. So I don't think it will be too long before.
Is that the official name, or is that what people the side. It's because I keep seeing it everywhere. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? I don't know.
It's just
I
the
don't want
easiest way, isn't it?
It's very evident.
Yeah.
The new bloodline, whatever you want to call them, you know.
I assume
obviously they'll keep evolving.
WWE love a tribute show, so
They do. But yeah, man, United Kingdom, WWE are doing a UK tour this week, and yeah, man, Cody Rhodes is bringing the World Heavyweight Championship. No, that's what Priest has got. I just like saying World Heavyweight Championship, you know? Cody is bringing the WWE Championship to the UK, and I'll be in attendance for the first date that he does so, Birmingham, on Wednesday. So, yeah, man, it is cool that they're coming like straight to the UK, like pretty much immediately after Mania. You know, like that does pop me quite a lot. So
it's gonna be fun. We're probably gonna get
thought he was gonna bring the belt last year. He didn't. Had a great time at the show. There was like 10k people in attendance. I'm expecting more the same, although it is a different venue. But yeah, man, WWE got a cool little UK house show going on. I think when they do the UK, you see, maybe it's just us, but like I don't have like a UK timeline. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not like I'll just follow all my friends from the UK or anything. It's like I've got a pretty more United States people and base people. But I think like when you see like the UK house shows, I just see like more like traction and stuff online from them. Like you know, like the hashtag WWE Manchester,
big houses, man.
You know, huge houses, bro.
Yeah.
Like I said, 10k for Birmingham last year, which is absurd for a fucking house show.
London's probably... Are they running the O2 on Friday, or are they running Wembley? Do we know? Wembley Arena, that is, folks. I think it's the O2. If it's the O2, they've probably like... Because I went to O2 house shows that were sold out in the late 2010s when WWE fucking sucked. You know, like we're very willing to spend money on these things over here. So, yeah.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I won't be going to the house show.
You need to do it one day, Chuck. They're fun.
I do.
The rest of
you
them
actually do,
yeah, they're fun.
If Rey Mysterio had been on this tour, then I probably would have.
Yeah,
that's very fair.
He's like,
he's
like the only WWE wrestler still on my bucket list to see live. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so WWE house shows are just so like.
They seem like a good time.
They're just so smartly thrown together wrestling show. You know, you just got to like bring your family, have a bite to eat. You know, do the woe for Cody Rhodes and get on. You know,
I did the woe for Cody Rhodes in a bar in Cardiff. I ain't doing it again. I got it out my system.
The woe. Yeah,
I did it drunk in a bar in Cardiff. It was great. I don't need to do it again.
This sword is proof that I've lived 499. After this last week, I think I need to see the Shield versus the Elite 3 versus 5 elimination bucket.
Can't we just pick 3 Elite guys, bro? Like, they have to be 3 versus 5.
Get them all in there.
Yeah, like, can't we? The Shield could have Kurt Angle, so that's 4. Right? Is there any other honorary Shield members? It's just Kurt, right? I think it's just
CM Punk. He pitched it, remember, bro?
Something tells me that wouldn't go down well, but yeah.
Could you imagine the Shield, Kurt and Punk? That entrance.
That's a good point. Chat's right. I was there for one of those matches. Triple H was a member of the Shield. I saw them wrestle the Bar. Oh, I'm getting old.
Who did Triple H? Who did Triple H tag with? Was it Sumo Hall?
Sumo Hall, his last match. Actually, amazing it worked out this way. His last match was him and Shinsuke versus Joe and Bobby Roode. So it was him and 3 NXT champs. It's fucking insane. That's actually how it went up. And if you watch that match, it's on YouTube. When Triple H tags in, that you would genuinely think that like Masawa has just entered the dude. And the reason it's funny is because Triple H is maybe of all the American wrestling stars ever, I'm not sure any is less suited to work Japan than Triple H, but he tags in and the place explodes. I mean, it's the same. I think the day before he teamed with Gallows and Anderson, I want to say, in an 8-man, I want to say.
Bro,
But,
please watch it, people. You know,
Yeah,
leave
it's
a
crazy.
comment
I've
after
never
this
seen
stream
these
or
on
something
Prime.
and tell us what you thought, because it's worth watching, because it's just fun.
It's a fun match too, like for a house show. You know, it's worth watching.
Hush 499 appreciate it. What y'all think the plan is for Sheamus? Does he call out Gunther to finally get his win over him? Does he go for the IC? Is he still AEW bound? I don't think he was ever AEW bound, because that would indicate that like he's dealt with Tony and he's planning to go there. It's just, I think with him it's just more of a thing where if WWE don't pick up their feet with him, he could obviously be very much tempted to see what free agency has to offer him, because, you know, there's still money on the table for Sheamus to make. And, you know, I think Joe Ibu said it earlier. He's been in WWE for a long time. Long time. So,
yeah, I don't know what the creative is for WWE necessarily. It'll be interesting. Ibu and I were talking about it earlier, and that's where he came up with the Drew thing. Because neither of us could, like, he mentioned the Gunther deal, and I was kind of like, I'm happy to see them wrestle, but it feels kind of hollow now. Like, he was chasing the belt, you know? Like, he wanted the IC belt. I don't know. And the IC belt is kind of tied up in the Gable. I assume that's just getting started, Gable and Sammy, to be honest. Be interesting.
yeah, man. I mean, so Ibu's idea, the tweet I saw Ibu put out was like, Drew and Sheamus should be tag champs in the spring. So I don't agree with that at all, you know? But
Right.
Drew and Sheamus tagging together, like,
Being
for
friends.
a few, you know what I mean? Like I can fuck with that heavily. But like Drew McIntyre being in like the tag division after Mania, after he's literally the former world heavyweight champion, who obviously is very pissed about the situation he's in right now. Putting him just in like a whack-em tag team, yeah, it'd be fun matches and stuff, but it's just like creatively, like that's quite like, you know.
No, I get that. I think the direction of Sheamus being the one guy that, even though they fought a lot, they were always, you know, the one guy you can sort of rely on, I think is good. Yeah, but I do get your point that they actually probably shouldn't be an actual tag team. They could just be kind of a main event alliance or whatever, you know?
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, man. Love them both. Short-term Spurs, 4,000 appreciated. They won't do, but Aminata should take the title from Athena. If not now, when?
Yeah.
Aminata's awesome, man. But the thing is with that ROH women's title, as clearly evident from Athena's reign up until this past week, which shout out to her for finally fucking getting on TV. God bless. That belt means that you're going to be hid on Honor Club. I don't think Queen Aminata should be hid on Honor Club. So,
it kind of has to be Billy Starks, right? You have to kind of get back to that, I think.
Oh yeah, because like she's still young, right?
Exactly.
She's still coming along in the game. It's like, yeah, it's like a match with Aminata up until they did the finish, and I'm not saying like I hated the finish or anything. It's just that like it just completely derails the match, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? Because it was like a 5-minute angle. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like even from like a wrestling performance in the Aminata match, the match that she had with Athena, I'm sure she's been doing some really solid work on ROH in between, like the tournament matches and stuff. Even though she's coming along, she's still not quite someone who I'm like, all right, this person needs to be on TV, super polished, gonna be a big star immediately. Do you know what I mean? Like she's not there yet. She's still coming along. So someone like her, yeah, I think it makes more sense for her to take the belt off Athena, especially with all the built-in story already and the failed attempts. Whereas Aminata is like, bro, she's like TV ready.
She should be on TV every week.
One of AEW's best TV workers of 2024, you know?
Yeah.
And as far as the women's division goes. So Aminata definitely should be on AEW TV. But in terms of like a moment of defeating the unbeatable forever champion in Athena, like, yeah, I completely see why you'd want Aminata to beat her, because that sounds, you know, in a vacuum, that sounds awesome.
The only thing here, the kind of asterisk, is that I guess what Ring of Honor looks like once this TV deal's done. Because to be quite frank, if Ring of Honor isn't involved in any way, I don't know how long Ring of Honor is for the way it currently is. You know, I'm not saying that as a report, folks. I've heard nothing, but what I'm saying is, as it's currently operating, I don't know how long it lives. You know, because I understand Tony's got a ridiculous amount of money, but at some point, it's like, The TV show is like it basically doesn't exist for most people, you know? It's a shame. I don't like to say that. The wrestlers are doing their thing, but we all are deep in this wrestling bubble. How often does someone tell you about Ring of Honor TV? It's insane. Like, so I wouldn't even want to think how few people watch it. So that's a big factor in the Athena deal. Like, if they can get like on the streaming service, then it's different, right? Then you could say, well, maybe we do something with Queen Amina, whoever it may be. We'll see in that regard. I think they need to find a solution, though. I don't know if this current approach is perfect, to be honest.
I agree.
Yeah, man. Keep the super chats coming because we're going to get through these and I think we're going to get out of here. But we got Ibu in the chat. Obviously talking about Drew and Sheamus. Main event alliance works. He said Steen, Erica and Judgment Day were main characters as tag champs though. The bouts were in a completely different place then. And it was also like Sammy and Steen weren't then going to the world top. Do you know what I mean?
Drew is like actively needs the belt, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's different, but I understand that being like the what's the word, retort, you know. But yeah, man. Main alliance. I'm on board with alliance, brother. So we're kind of on the same page. Anyway, Will Chisholm back to the super chats. Like I say, keep them coming. Last chance. Is it me? Or 2 years ago, Ali had huge fanfare when fans wanted WWE to let him go so he can go to AEW, but now it feels like it dues off. Is it the gimmick he's doing? All right, well,
yes.
So the Mustafa Ali thing, he is not an awful worker by any stretch of the imagination, and he also was in 205 Live where they were kind of like in the dark and were able to do whatever they want, even though it was still Vince style with WWE. So you had guys like Buddy Matthews like really, really performing on there, and that's not to take anything away from Mustafa Ali doing his thing in 205, but like Buddy, Cedric, and some of the others who were like the main guys in 205, like Joe Hulbert will definitely tell you, were like just operating like fucking animals down there, you know.
Yeah.
And Buddy didn't fully carry Ali to those memorable matches, but like he was definitely more of the driving factor behind them. And again, Ali, especially being kind of like a cruiserweight, which he kind of automatically like doesn't even really matter unless you like fall on like an Enzo Amore or something. Like if you're a cruiserweight and you're successful, you'll always get kind of like some form of label or tag as a worker guy, you know. And Ali always kind of had that in WWE, and with him being like outspoken and stuff the way he was and drumming up the Free Ali stuff and his thing like that, and WWE, the perception it was of holding all these wrestlers prisoners and it kind of created this narrative of like WWE's holding Mustafa Ali from being able to like cook, and like that just became the narrative when in reality is WWE absolutely was like a prison back then, you know, and he probably was not getting everything that he should have and could have got out of WWE in that time, but it was definitely felt like it was almost a little bit forced and overstated because of kind of like the Free Ali like movement, right. And like, you know what I mean? And people were like, you're just holding him back so much, and like that became such a strong narrative. It was like, you know, now when he got released and when he got out of WWE, it's like, the cuffs are off, watch, and it's like it was never that. It was never that.
So before we go any further, like we're talking here relative to the hype, you know, like he's a talented guy, but
he is.
My issue with him has always been, and we've talked about this on Worldwide, like way back. Remember when he got the Gunther match? We talked about it a lot. I think he's always been stuck between styles, and he's a guy who does a lot of higher spots, but isn't particularly dynamic athletically. He's someone who his best skill set is selling and being a fiery babyface, but he always seems to be wanting to do more than that. You know, it's like you kind of wish he would just color inside those lines a little bit, but instead he's always wants to be a character bigger than that. And the problem is he seems to want to play a heel character at this point in his career, which is fine. He does not in any way, shape, or form wrestle. Yeah, he can talk, and he has ideas for a character. He in no way, shape, or form. Yeah, which is important, but he does not wrestle in a way that suits the character he's playing. You know, I don't know the deal. It's also one of those things like, how old is Ali now? Not that he's old. I'm just
chat.
Yeah, like he's not like, he's not a guy who hasn't found him. Like this is who he is as a wrestler. Now, if you like that, that's fine. I like a bunch of wrestlers that people think fucking suck. Don't let me stop you. I'm just saying that he isn't like some raw prospect who's finding his way. Like, this is who he is as a wrestler. He's 38 years old. And if you like it, good. I had my moments. He had some great matches with Buddy that I have said 1,000,001 times. Like, I think Buddy's bumping did him a lot of favors. But like he's cool.
Debuted in 2003, bro.
That's what I'm saying. He's 21-year pro. Like he is who he is, and that's fine. He's had a good career. Yeah, I think he's a guy who, and this isn't his fault. That's why Monty laid out the way he did. Like, he's a guy where sometimes perception and hype like overwhelms what a guy can actually do. Good wrestler. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying he sucks. There was a point where it was like he's actually like he'd be a millionaire 10 times over. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, he's a fine wrestler.
People were saying people were talking like TNT champ, and I was just like,
I don't know.
Again, talented dude, can talk, but he's just kind of like, because of his unique situation, it just drummed up like this narrative and this hype that just I don't think he ever did meet or ever could meet. That the heart of 205 Live run will probably be like the peak of his like in ring work, And there's some really good stuff in there, bro. Like Joe mentioned the Buddy matches, and I'll mention the Buddy matches. Like, Buddy probably was the driving force to make those as great as they were, but Ali does his thing in them as well, and he does have some good matches on his resume.
And he's a better promo than Buddy, right? He has more personality than Buddy, so I get why people got enthralled by him. I understand it completely. Look, ultimately, he's going to have a chance to prove this right or wrong. Like, I'm not holding the Hiromu match against him. Hiromu didn't give a fuck about that match. Let's see what he look. But at the end of this year, let's look back on his TNA work. If he does anything else in New Japan, he did beat Hiromu. Maybe he will. Let's see. Like, I watched one of the Saban matches. I want to say the TV match. I didn't think much of it. But in 3 months, he might have a great match with Ace Austin or Chris Bayer. We don't know, right? Mm-hmm. So hopefully he makes this segment seem completely incorrect. That'd be cool. He seems like a really cool dude. Like,
no, he does.
He kills it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, Ali, kind of narrative almost worked against him to a point,
The gimmick is interesting as well. But I've been in live crowds where it's gotten over, so.
Do you think the gimmick is over, or people just want him to do well? Because I haven't seen it live. So what do you reckon after being there in person?
I think people are just rooting for him, and he does lean into the gimmick really well. Like, he does play the character well.
I agree.
But and UK crowds, they will pop for any ex-WWE wrestler that comes and makes an appearance. So, how reliable of a source is it?
I know. I asked you not to be a dick. The reason I asked.
I know.
Yeah, like, I asked it because to me, it's a case of he really wanted to do this character for a long time.
Yes.
And I think it's a good character, but I don't think this was the time.
I don't know if he's the right.
Right, and it's like, you've just got to, like, I know it's generic and bland, and then maybe you would think it's lame, but there's something to be said for just being the guy who's like, I'm about to go and have all these killer matches and be a babyface touring wrestler, And instead, he's
come out with just like a chip on his shoulder and was just like, I'm proving a point. Like, I feel like even if his matches were the same amount of quality, he'd get a lot more like fanfare about it because of
it's he's complicating the formula, Like, he's the people want to support him. By the way, it should be noted, there was talk that like he actively improved the houses for all the indie shows he took initially, right? Like, people wanted to see him.
Yeah. So he was selling out shows. He sold out the ballroom. That don't sell out anymore.
He's selling out Wembley Stadium. He's people like him. So I think maybe I think he might have overcomplicated it a little bit for himself, but I don't know.
Yes.
And Jen, $5, appreciate your ways. What do I need to do to get rid of Jericho? Why can't he fuck off? Go perform at your Fuzzy concerts to all 50 fans. Hashtag Fuzzy for Bermuda Triangle. Hashtag Fuzzy for Artie. hey man, it's like, how many times do we have to say like this is brutal? Why has he got another segment booked for Dynamite? How is this? Like it's brutal.
You know our opinions on Jericho these days.
Yeah, they need to be moving on. Mustafa, £5, appreciate it. With AEW, WWE, TJPW, Stardom, CMLL, and DDT all doing well and actually making new stars, I just don't have time for a New Japan aside from the big shows. Very much understandable, bro. I'm in a similar place, but you watch a lot more promotions than I do regular.
So many promotions.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
You lost me when you listed 3. I was like, well.
Yeah. I get to AEW, start staggering, and it's like my next growth is YouTubing on Anderson or whatever the fuck, you know? Respect.
Will Chisholm $5. Do Triple H and Nick Khan know the songs suck? It'd be more so Triple H and Nick Khan because I don't think Nick Khan.
There's no way he cares.
Yeah. I mean, probably, but we don't know. But probably would be my guess. Would be like I don't think he's blown away much by him. You know.
He got very lucky, bro. He has some of the greatest themes ever, didn't he, Triple H? That's like his best. His ultimate attribute is he was like a great theme guy.
Yeah. Hush 199. Fatu only being 30 is crazy. Not even in his prime. But yeah, like Joe said, if he keeps, he's got himself into better physical shape. He can take it easy on his knees. You know what I mean? He might not be in his prime. Yeah, man. He's an animal. He is an animal. Fatu is. Hush 199. Wouldn't be mad if Fatu was the new tribal chief.
It's Dwayne, right? It's Dwayne. Dwayne's the tribal chief.
I'm actually intrigued, like in a good way. Like, I'm not like I don't know, but not in like a weird, confused way. Because obviously you got Solo, who they're painting the picture like he's assumed be calling shots now and going rogue. So like, is he doing that on his own accord, or is he taking orders from The Rock, or do you know what I mean? Like what?
I think it's The Rock thing, personally. I don't know. To me, that's the best story. Is that like The Rock's making calls from Hollywood, and Heyman has no idea.
Ron, $4.99, appreciate it. Joseph, my son, long time no talk. Miss you, but we need Big Hikaleo and Tonga to come and have God help the bloodline. What do you think, bro?
God bless.
I think Tungalo is awesome purely because of the way he tweets about his own matches. So whoever gets that dude when he replied to a gif of his own fucking stripe with saying like he's replied like fucking shit or something. He's just, I think he knows that, he probably shouldn't be wrestling singles matches for New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I've never seen anything quite like it. Because usually the worst wrestlers are the most oblivious. But it seems like Tangaloa is like, God almighty. This guy's tough out there,
Will Chisholm, $5. Appreciate you. Triple H saw that Jimmy versus Jay match and was like, I need to get y'all back together real quick. I mean,
that match.
Oh, it was terrible.
It was really bad.
It was terrible.
So how does the Jey Uso thing play into all this bloodline shit? Because obviously that's going to be like a very big part of the story, isn't it? Because it's like, especially now, it's even more hilarious that match being as bad as it was because obviously they were trying to like tell some sort of story with it. Obviously, you always try to tell a story, especially with a Mania match, brother versus brother. But like that was like all they fucking cared about in that match. Obviously, there was that big face-to-face promo that Jimmy and Jay did. I want my brother back, and they kind of went back and forth about that. And then obviously the match with them, like Jay being so kind of like reluctant and like making it out like that. Then obviously Jimmy got killed like this past Friday, so like Jay's probably going to be conflicted about that, and so
it feels like Jay's going to work Priest, and at that point he'd have had 2 matches for the world title. He'd have challenged Gunter for the IC title. It's like I mean, as over as he is, it feels like at that point in the game, you could probably move Jay back to being a tag wrestler who who does singles matches, rather than what he currently is. Yep, go for it.
The thing with the Usos being reunited here, bro, like the tag division needs to be like worthy of them. Because like, regardless of what you think of the Usos as like in-ring workers or whatever, obviously them being singles, like they've received some criticisms, even though Jay I think's been like pretty much fine. He's not exactly like setting the world on fire.
He's fine.
He had that really good he had that good Raw main event with Seth, But like the Usos are now like bona fide fucking stars, bro. So if the tag division can't be like fucking Priest, no, not Priest. It can't be like Miz and fucking Truth.
For sure.
And do you know what I mean? Like it needs to be a real fucking tag division, like the one they
the choice of
brought the belts
champions
to,
maybe are.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you can,
they've got the tag teams. They just got to make the division serious.
You got to push the right ones. Yeah. It was.
I have this conversation about every tag division in wrestling right now.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Our friend Contrarian Alex, he said that when Jimmy Uso says "yeet," it's going to be the modern fans' version of Liz and Savage reuniting it. And he said it as a joke, and my brain, because of course it did, went, he's right. People are going to go nuts when Jimmy said, because they're going to do that, right? Like they're going to be on the verge of a hug, and Jimmy's going to say "yeet," and Jay's going to embrace him. The people are going to explode. And it's like wrestling is the dumbest fucking. I love it dearly.
That could be another time moment.
Showtime Spurs $2 fantasy booking Sheamus showing up with GYV at Wembley. That'd be a cool trio.
They're a good.
It would be a cool trio, but I don't think American wrestling fans understand how British fans treat British wrestlers. If they're not like fully into them, they do not give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like I don't think GYV is the tag team you think they are in the UK indie scene.
Just fucking cook them.
I'm just being. You were there at the Revolution Rumble.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's just the way you worded it was incredibly funny because you're very kind about it usually. Well,
he did just say like they're a good team,
I like. It was just I wasn't
Charlie
ready.
Immediately being like, well,
No, I think they are a very good team, and I rate them higher than a lot of people do.
What you're saying is, being English does not necessarily mean you get a reaction at Wembley Stadium, right? Is what you're saying, which is correct. It was just the fact that you worded it as they're not the team you think they are. But I know what you meant.
Very aggressive as well.
One thing I would say too about Wembley, and Chuck, you can probably speak. We can all speak this. We were all there. My God, it feels like a lifetime ago. That crowd was not like when you have that many people. There are absolutely a lot of people that are there that just watch AEW on ITV. Like it was. It wasn't a case of like, here are 80,000 Rev Pro subscribers. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of people there. Like I heard them talking about the graphs. Like they wasn't, they were normal people. God forbid. Imagine that. And I say all that to say that GYV, you want to give them a little bit. I mean, I think they should sign GYV because the tag division.
Yes. I do. I think they should be signed to AEW, but debuting them at Wembley Stadium would be fucking crazy.
Right. Yeah. I think if you look at the AEW tag division right now, I think they'd be one of the best heel teams that have on day one, right? They're a really good team.
100%.
I guess my point was not that they're not the tag team they think they are. It's the fact that they don't have the stock with British fans that you can debut them at Wembley Stadium and get the reaction you would want. There's not a lot of British talent that could do that. Ospreay was probably the only one.
Yeah, and their WWE run was a non-factor in their star power here. Like
exactly.
No one saw that shit, Like no one's like, oh, the guys from the Dyad? Fuck. Like this. But they're a good team though.
Someone's gonna clip that. It's gonna get back to people I know. I'm gonna get absolutely rinsed at the next show they're booked on.
Just lit them up.
You deserve it. You deserve it.
Wow.
Push 199.
Again.
Jericho driving Hook to go to HBK is very funny. Hey man.
Yeah.
A free agent.
So did that report get retracted or not, or did they just delete the tweet?
They deleted the tweet. They deleted the tweet. Because when we was talking about it on the show, and it was talking about it, and people are, the tweet's not there, and so on, but the report's there, and that's like, if SE Scoops were actually retracting it, they would, you would take the actual article down. You wouldn't just delete the tweet. So I don't know why they deleted the tweet.
The rumors existed forever, hasn't it? I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know. I've not heard it from super
left field.
Yeah, like it's been a thing that's people have said for ages that's where Hook sees himself eventually, and I don't know. I mean, it's like it kind of surprised me because SE Scoops doesn't do a ton of that stuff, right? Unless I'm mistaken, I could be wrong. But yeah, it didn't surprise me as a story at all.
The Custodian, Nexus King, appreciate you as always with the $4.99. I don't know what was worse, that Uso versus Uso match or Will's spelling grammar for the last super chat. Will has me nuts some of these weeks, as everyone knows.
Yeah, but he's paying us though, bro.
He's a beast.
I didn't get paid for the Uso match. I get paid every time Will sends a bad spelling grammar super chat.
Hush 199. I kind of want Nakajima in NXT. A true mindfuck. Yeah.
I think it'd be very funny. And there's not really been a moment like that in wrestling for a long time. Like Mercedes signing to AEW was kind of one of that moments, but people had anticipated it for like a year, 14 months at that point. It was like a finally sort of thing, not a holy shit. So yeah, Nakajima go to NXT for a year. I think it'd be fucking hilarious. Have some good matches with him here as well. So.
It's going to create an incredible headline when it's like this weekend at Saturday night's main event, you know, R-Truth was the match was stopped after a swift kick from Kazuhiko Nakajima. Like, what does Nakajima's WWE house show style look like? Just out there walking around. It fascinates me. I have no clue. I mean, I'm not saying he can't do it. He's a very talented guy. Super sharp. But it's just, what does it look like? I don't know.
Yeah, man.
No idea.
Maybe we'll know. Maybe we will.
Oh, elsewhere, what we got? All right. Tomorrow on Worldwide, we'll talk about Kenny's comments on Brawl Out because they popped me.
Okay.
Proper.
We'll do SmackDown, right?
He's a good man, Kenny Omega, you know. We'll talk a bit more about the Bloodline angle properly, and we'll talk about Cody Rhodes, let Ibu just glaze.
We should do the AJ thing too, because Ibu, he tried to do a bit on Twitter.
That's what I mean. We'll talk about Cody's first challenger, the new belt potentially, Rock versus Cody at Mania 41 potentially, all that sort of shit, bro. So, what happened on Raw this week? Ilya and Roxanne were on Raw. That was cool. The Uncle Howdy teases, we spoke about them. Pop me to see Cena on Raw. We got Chad versus Sammy tomorrow. Jay versus Damien soon. Piper Niven's back, man. It was cool to see her back on SmackDown. Genuinely, she's been dealing with a hand injury. I've always rated her very highly. Thought she's been a good, productive part of TV whenever she's been on it, even when she was Doudrop. Jade and Bianca, they're tagging together. Pop me huge.
I did see the screenshots.
Yeah, Bailey and Naomi, they're wrestling next week for the world title. That should be good. Drew Gulak has been scrubbed from NXT, it seems. His name's been taken out of his Titantron. He was removed from one of the rundowns or something like that. So it's not looking good for him after the Ronda Rousey accusations, which he basically admitted to, but claimed they were an accident. So, and although the accusations weren't like fucking, you know, punched her in the face or, you know, fucking shoved his dick in her ear or anything like that. It was still inappropriate, you know. So yeah, Gulak not looking good for him. What else we got? AEW pay-per-view schedule dropped. They dropped the whole schedule. That kind of surprised me.
Hell yeah, they did. Makes my life so much easier.
So yeah, you planning any of it, Charlie? You planning for any of them?
Forbidden Door is a yes. I wanted to do Wrestle Dream because of it's in Washington again, so it feels like it's going to be a big Brian pay-per-view. But it's the week after Tag Fest in Germany, so we'll see. Maybe. I will not be doing All Out. Yeah. It's going to be an expensive all-in weekend. I've already scratched that one off my list.
Yeah. I might try and get booked in a couple of the battle royals on these shows, I think. Chicago.
I'm not rich, I just budget well. Sorry, I was responding to chat. If
chat.
I was rich, I would be at every pay-per-view, trust me.
Oh, God bless. But yeah, AEW seems like they're trying to. I don't know, man. I don't. It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's like, are they trying to kind of let the fan base plan out and let the Charlies of the world pick,
I think
you
so.
know?
Here's a real
They
problem,
have
dude.
such
Like,
international pool that they need to do things like that. Like they talk about how much like international like fly-ins they get for these shows. Like, so they need to do stuff like this because it's hard to plan when you've got when it was 4 pay-per-views and you could guess when they were. It's like, yeah, it's whatever. But now that they've got like 10 or something
Dynasty
stupid.
was ridiculous, dude. Like,
Yeah, like
it was like 6 weeks notice to what? You're just shooting yourself in the foot. Like, give yourself a run up. Like, now I'm not an expert until I saw there was some discourse about the places they picked. I have no clue if they were, I don't know how they've drawn in those places previously. I have no idea.
They're going back to Newark for Full Gear, which I thought was interesting. People are upset that they still haven't gone to Texas, which I think is very fair because Texas is notoriously a good port.
It
good
feels
crowd.
like they kind of take the Texas crowds for granted because it's like, oh,
yeah,
they're always great to us, you know.
It's ridiculous they haven't done a pay-per-view for Texas, and I ain't no Texan. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a fucking shit. You know what I mean?
You were.
I was surprised that one of the late in the year pay-per-views wasn't in Canada because of Forbidden Door did very well there last year, and they do the Canadian tours. I was surprised that they didn't do another Canadian.
Texas, the Texas thing's bizarre though, man, because it's like it's not just they have good crowds when they go to Texas, so they should reward that with like there's that sort of it. But it's like Texas as well.
So historically,
the huge
state for wrestling.
That's another reason, but like it's just like it's gone through this huge kind of like live media boom since the pandemic because it was one of the states that didn't really close much. So a lot of people from LA, a lot of people from New York that wanted to do live events, whether that was wrestling, whether that was stand-up comedy, whether that was theater or whatever the fuck, a lot of concerts and stuff like that. A lot of all that was just happening in Texas. It became like one of the central hubs in America for it, and obviously a lot of that has kind of stuck. So. It is just very. Then, of course, you add in the fact that it's a tried and tested area for AEW. Works, crowds are good. Why? It just don't make any sense. They could probably do quite a big number there for a pay-per-view because the pay-per-views that they've announced so far, like Dynasty's at like 5.5k, Double or Nothing's at like 5k. Bro, AEW like
running Vegas again.
Vegas, I thought was I mean, that crowd last year, that was the first year where you could tell there wasn't a lot of international fly-ins. That crowd was dreadful last year.
Yes. And the pay-per-view itself was like already cut like mid, like it was a bad pay-per-view. Then you added a dead crowd. It is unwatchable until the last 2 matches.
Like, don't get me wrong.
2.5. The women's.
It's not, you're absolutely right to point that out, Chuck, because the show itself had issues beyond the crowd, no doubt. It's just, man, after that crowd, I would not be going back the next year. I think sometimes tradition is a great thing as a wrestling booker, but I think you have to be careful. I think sometimes Tony can be like obsessed with these things, It's like, there's other casinos, bro. Like, do somewhere else.
Yeah. Like, people always point out that, where's the one that I always hear would be good for Double or Nothing? Georgia? Something like that? I don't know. They're just like, that's like a state that's got like affinity with gambling or something.
I'm not sure. Not great on US geography, unfortunately.
Yeah, me neither. But this is a conversation. This is just a conversation I've had with many people because of, like, All Out. I can get why they keep it in Chicago because Chicago is a reliable place for them. Like, it's as much as we bitch and moan about the fact I've bitched and moaned about the fact that they keep going back to Chicago. They turn up every time. So when you have like that, like sort of rooting in a place, I get it. Vegas don't give a fuck. They go there because it's touristy, and that's not helping them at the moment. So I don't get why they keep going back.
Mm-hmm.
But they're gonna keep doing it. But at least we know exactly what you know, what cities are going to for the rest of 2024.
Shocking me.
Yeah, it was quite the
All
move from
around Chicago.
AEW.
They're running Chicago in July, Caden. Sorry, again, answering chat.
You think WWE are going to do... WWE are definitely going to, like, counter book them, aren't they?
Probably, yeah. Probably. But,
I
think
yes.
at this point...
I put this in a group chat. The weekend that Forbidden Door is, WWE is also in New York. They're running Madison Square Garden for a SmackDown.
We know, where is Forbidden Door happening? Like, what building?
Long Island. I don't know. I can't remember the building name.
Yeah.
UBS. Is it
I
UBS?
think it is. Yeah, I think it is.
The Dynamite before was in Buffalo. UBS Arena. Thank you, Joe.
Right, someone in the chat said, is the France crowd going to be lit up for Backlash? Brother, bro.
Crowd. It's going to be insane.
They were going fucking bananas for Mad Cat Moss and Dexter Loomis last year.
There was a moment I considered going out for that show because of those Europe crowds.
I was actually... When I kind of got the feeling they were going to do Cody and AJ, which obviously it might not be that, but I'm pretty sure it's that. I mean, they're not doing LA Knight and Cody. I was a little bit bummed I wasn't going, to be honest. I mean, the problem is when they do pay-per-views, they kick the shit out of you in terms of how expensive they are, because the reality is it's a pay-per-view in France. They ain't going to do that often. You know, like they can take the piss for the ticket prices. That's where running arenas is worse than stadiums for us, because how many tickets do they have to sell? 12, 15K? It's like they can... Their prices are outrageous. Yeah, they're outrageous. UFC does the same thing. And I was kind of bummed because I was obviously in Paris last year for WWE. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to watching it, though, because that crowd will be awesome. Like, AJ and Cody is a big match anywhere, but to that crowd, they're probably going to see that as, like, a dream match for that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like it's a huge deal to see that in a country that's never had a WWE pay-per-view. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. It's very cool.
All right. Enough dicking around.
Enough about me complaining about Chicago. It happens a lot.
We're just kind of fucking about here, aren't we? Let's get out of here. Yeah, man. UFC last night was good. We'll talk about that again on Wild Ward as well.
I did not watch the UFC.
Oh, me and Joe won't. We won't hold you at gunpoint and make you talk about Max Holloway.
I could not tell you anything about that show. Like, I genuinely know nothing about UFC. It's very funny, like how far away my knowledge is of that. Considering that, like, so many of my friends watch it, nothing. Couldn't even tell you like any of the people on the cards. Like,
I could talk 10 minutes on the officiating of that fucking that women's title fight, but
yeah, it was crazy.
It was a great card though, and it is cool to see those like historic pay-per-views at UFC do go well, you know, because like remember the 25-year anniversary, Joe, when knocked out Korean Zombie with that fucking insane fucking what do you even that elbow. And then obviously UFC 300, it had like a lot of its own moments as well. So,
oh mate, it was wild. I said to you, like, there was two finishes that, like, if you're having in a movie, you'd be like, "Oh, come on, dude, that's so phony," you know. it was incredible.
All right, but yeah, a lot more. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff to talk about on World War. We left quite a lot of things on the table there because I kind of wrote down everything that happened this week in like bullet points, and we've got another show here, so we've done nearly 3 hours here, so we're gonna leave you to it to Sunday night and all. And appreciate you guys for tuning in. Appreciate all the super chats. Please like and subscribe on your way out. Can't stress that enough. And please, if you're watching this on a catch up, replay, whatever, leave us a comment. And if you remember to leave us a comment now, if you're a live viewer, please do that too once the video is like up. So give it like a minute or so after the video finishes. But yeah, comment, like, subscribe. Appreciate the super chats. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. And we'll see you tomorrow for Worldwide. Peace.